describing, but cool. All right. So let me run through this with you guys. I'm going to turn off the transcript function here because I don't need to pay attention to that. Okay, so guys, your fellow students, the PR3 class of 2023, I think this is the PR diploma class, the 3-year PR diploma class, public relations, as you guys know, are running a campaign tomorrow on campus as part of their class deliverables, if you will, almost like a work integrated learning kind of vibe. And they're running this thing, and so we've been asked to promote it, which is cool because it actually ties in very nicely with what you guys do for 4th year BBA students. And please, guys, support your campus and please support your fellow students. I'm sure they would do the same for you, and it's an opportunity and an excuse to bunk classes tomorrow, lol. And it is almost spring. It'll be spring on Friday, so it's almost like a pre-spring, spring fling kind of thing. So please join and support your students. Okay, so let's have a look what they're saying. I'll run through all the slides they sent us and not just a couple so that you guys know. How can I buy tickets to the PR3 class of 2023 Smiles All Around raffle? Okay, as you can see, visit student information and ask to buy tickets to the raffle. Take out 10 bucks, pay for your ticket and fill in the form and smile, or you can join them tomorrow at the fun day at the canteen from 12 p.m. That's tomorrow, the 31st of August. Pay 20 Rand to get in to enjoy all the fun. Take out 10 Rand and buy a raffle ticket too. You can buy as many tickets as you like. So I'm not there, but I'm going to speak to Karika and find out how we can make a donation for the students and try and support them. And I think it's an awesome initiative. So guys, think about this. Remember, if for you guys, in terms of the context for you, public relations is one of the 5 elements of the marketing communications mix. So it is the students that you guys are doing this course are specializing in one of the elements of the marketing communications mix, specifically public relations, which is related to publicity, which is also related to corporate social investment. So this is kind of like a charity event, you know, raising money and raising awareness for some charity. So I'm going to run through the other slides, but it's awesome. So remember, when you guys do your presentations for your brand, you have to include some sort of public relations thing that you are going to assess. So once I've gone through this, I'm going to rework through the updated brief. The brief is not really changed, it's slightly altered, and the marking rubric has been made much clearer for you guys if you have any questions and queries. So it's nothing, you still have your same brands. Those of you who've chosen brands, you keep those brands, you do those brands. But it's been slightly changed and extended slightly, and I think it is a very positive move because I feel that it really is going to stretch you and also help you with creativity. So as you know, from the classes that we've been doing, creativity is one of the elements we've been discussing from your Kung, creativity and innovation. So this will help you to create an innovative and creative campaign that's not just a reflection of the current strategy that the brand is using, but also something that you can add to the strategy, which is great. It stretches you and it really helps you a lot. Okay, so let's have a look then at the other slides for these. Okay, so you can see that Smiles All Around, this is a campaign that they're doing. And I'm going to read the email from Karika to you as well, so you guys have the details. Okay, as you can see, Smiles All Around, a fun day with games. There's hopscotch, there's Xbox and PlayStation, there's skipping, there's Umgusha, I don't know what that is, you guys can tell me. There's Izingedo, you guys can tell me what that is, coloring in. Okay, there's Amatin, there's Cup Pong, there's Hula Hoop, 20 Rand entrance outside the student canteen from 12 to 4 tomorrow, 31st of August, and it's Smile, it's part of the Smile Foundation. Okay, so I'm assuming I'll read the details now from the email. Let's just go to the next one. Okay, let's see. Okay, so BMH PR 2023, PR3 2023 students present. Everybody say cheese. Let's capture your smile and make memories of thanks to Golden Circle 360. Just 20 Rand to get in and come join the fun. Just follow us on our social platform at Smiles All Around 23. Contact us at Smiles All Around 45, it looks like, at gmail.com. I can't see, it's too small. CG, but that's cool. If you guys can blow it up later, but you'll obviously see all the stuff on campus. Please go support your fellow students, guys. Please support your campus. You know, help the other students that they feel that they're, you know, being supported and cool. And then one day they'll do the same for you. Okay, or one day you'll get the same supported work. If you guys are leaving this year, then you'll get the same supported work. Okay, cool. Let's see what else it says. Smiles all around. There is the QR code if you want to scan it. I'm sure they post this up on campus. They should be. Maybe they're still putting them up today. Okay, you guys, you can see the Smile Foundation, the raffle competition, win great prizes, 10 Rand for a ticket. Find out more at the student information desk or follow us on these various social media platforms at Smiles All Around 23. You can see those, some of the sponsors. Want a chance to win some amazing prizes? Enter our raffle competition today. This is your chance to win big while supporting a great cause. So guys, you can see as well from your perspective, this is a fabulous combination of advertising and PR publicity. And of course, also they're going to obviously promote it on social media. It's a sales promotion because they're trying to sell tickets. And then, of course, there are personal sales because they're trying to drive the whole thing. So this is a great example of the integrated media campaigns that you guys need to become adept at doing because you guys are, you know, going into industry. Okay, let me read the email from Karika that you guys can go through it. I think it's very, very informative. Let me just see over here. Okay, so I'm going to run through it with you. Okay, so dear BMH lecturers and staff, thank you all so much for your support so far. Please can you share the following information with your students via your WhatsApp groups and remind them of all the amazing, let me just scan over here, amazing prizes they can win if they buy a raffle ticket or more for 10 Rand. Okay, so our very, very generous sponsors and surrounding community have really come to the party with prizes, sneaker clearing vouchers, as you can see, and care kits from the Sneaker Shack. Somebody raised a hand. Somebody's joining. Let me see. Somebody here raised a hand. No. There might be a message. Not sure. Okay. All right. Just see if you guys have a question. You feel free to interrupt me. It's fine. Okay. There is somebody joining. Okay. That is Dennis. Okay. Cool. Welcome, Dennis. Okay. Cool. All right. Welcome, Michelle, as well. And of course, Slindiwe and Tshego Fatu, you guys were here earlier on. So, and I said hello to you guys. Okay. So, guys, sneaker cleaning vouchers and care kits from the Sneaker Shack. A diamond necklace pendant valued at 3,500 Rand from Nevenshire, the diamond guy. That's a very, very nice prize. A 1,000 Rand voucher from Nando's Benmore. That's a very, very nice prize. A 1,000 Rand skincare hamper from Clay Skin. Also a fantastic prize. Warner Brothers movie merch hampers and movie tickets. How wonderful. Warner Music Africa merch hampers. Black Forest Bakery vouchers. A 700 Rand Cuffed Boys Club shopping voucher, which is cool. A wellness hamper to the value of 3,000 Rand from Canna Africa Lifestyle Store in Benmore, and smaller hampers, sorry. 4 250 Rand Fireworks Tacos vouchers. That sounds cool. I'm assuming that's a new taco place in Benmore. Okay, 2 sets of 5 tickets, 1 set of general and 1 set of VIP to the Alex Youth Academy and Sox Wodumo Summer Edition Music Festival in September. Okay, Strata Nation Address Music Festival, 4 tickets for you, your friends. You and your friends having on the 16th of September. And then the YFM Job Shadow Opportunity with Noni Kumalo. Okay, there will also be an amazing DJ lineup kicking off at 12 with a very special surprise guest performer. Thanks again, and remember, nothing is more contagious than a smile. So that's lovely, well put together. Very nice to you Thursday, PR3 class of 2023. Really nicely done, nice prizes, well put together. Give them a hand and really, please guys, go support them. And maybe you walk away with some delicious, delicious things. Nando's voucher sounds lovely. Silver jewelry sounds lovely. It sounds very nice. The movie ticket sounds fabulous. All very, very nice things. Okay, cool. So you guys must please support them if you can. And really and truly encourage your fellow students in there. Because PR, guys, is never an easy thing. It's a tough gig. And yeah, it's tough out there. Okay, cool. So guys, I'm going to then stop sharing the screen, and then I'm going to log on to, I need to open your brief. I've got an updated brief for you guys. I'm going to go through that before we continue with the lecturers again. The lecturers, not the lecturers, the lecturers again. So I'm glad to see you guys are here, and I'm glad that you guys are involved in the class, and that is all very good to see you here. So, okay, let me stop sharing. Okay, then let me open the other email with the details. Let me actually download it. I think that will be easier. Okay, and then I'm going to run through it with you. Okay, so guys, no need to panic. It's not that it is completely different. It's just slightly tweaked to make it easier for you guys to get the assignment done. So we've tweaked it. Chris has tweaked it, and he wanted to just include additional information to make it, you know, easier for you guys and better for you guys. Because he obviously wants you guys to do really, really well, because it is your second last assessment. It is your last formative assessment. You have your summative assessment last, and then of course you finish. So guys, it's really important. Please push really hard. Try your very, very best. Nobody wants you to fail. Nobody wants to fail. You don't want to be repeating fourth year next year. It's such a discouraging thing. It really takes the wind out of your sails. Push hard, knuckle down, do the work, you know, lose a bit of sleep, spend less time with your friends, knuckle down. It's September in 2 days' time. September, October, November, push for 3 months, and December you can do your beach and your berg and your bush and your bikini and your pool and your parties and whatever it is. And in the interim, just really knuckle down and do your best, because I promise you, it is a very, 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 very gratifying feeling when you finish your degree and you get the results, and it's like, okay, I've completed and fulfilled all the requirements for the degree, so I now have my degree. It's wonderful. I've done it 4 times. It is a wonderful feeling. You guys will love it. So please, please, please do your very best to really push forward. Okay, on that note, I'm going to share with you guys again. Screen. Give me a second. Oh, crumbs. Okay. It's going to allow me. It's not allow me to. Okay. Let me see. I'm going to quickly turn on to this thing. If you can see, it's going to allow me to. I don't know if it's going to allow me to share. Let me have a look. Okay. Why is it that? Is it going to allow me to share? Window. Oh, this one. There we go. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so guys, you can see over here, like I said to you, please don't have a freak out. It is mostly the same. It's just slightly different. There are a couple of things that have changed, and the marking rubric has been tightened up to make it easier for you guys to follow. Okay, so let's have a look. You guys know all the stuff over here. Guys, I know this is going to be boring. I'm going to cover it all for you guys. You know that what we've gone through, and we've gone through it again properly. Okay, so you can see over here the submission window for you to submit your presentations will be from the 16th of September to the 22nd of September. Chris will advise me then how we're going to do the marking. You guys have to obviously present it. I don't know if it's in that week or the week after. As I understand it, it's in that week. But obviously nobody's going to be presenting assignments on Saturday or Sunday. So we're going to have to see, we're going to have to probably work at some schedule to then see. And probably most of you will present on the 20th, I'm assuming, which, guys, just to let you know, is today in 3 weeks. So you literally have 3 weeks left to do your assignment. It is a lot of work to do and not a lot of time. So please do your very best and put your best foot forward. Okay, so let's have a look then at the rest of the details. So again, select your brand. Most of you have now done that. And you can see, for those of you who haven't, please select your brand as quickly as possible. Some students have shared their brands with me in secret. They don't want their brands to be revealed. I've honored that request and not put them on the group. So far, there are no conflicts, except for one student who wanted to do something on Nike, which of course he can't because Chris already did the presentation, so he's going to have to choose something different. I think he has really chosen something different. I can't remember. I need to have a look. But so far, there are no conflicts. And everybody's chosen very interesting stuff. You guys all chosen very cool stuff. So that's great. So what we're going to do is when we go through the class lesson later, I'm going to refer back to these 9 elements: tech brand, a soft drink brand, a person brand, a country brand, a city brand, a luxury brand, an alcohol brand, a car brand, and a media brand. But guys, you're not limited to those. You can choose any brand you like. Okay, so for example, I mean, people have said to me, oh, can I do this? You can do anything you like. There are no restrictions. So as long as you can articulate it into your strategy, you can do it. Okay, so there we go. Now create a comprehensive integrated media management strategy around that brand using the 5 elements of the marketing communications mix, which are, as you know, advertising, which is paid for, PR publicity, which is not paid for usually, although you would pay a consultant or a publicist or a PR manager, personal sales, sales promotion, and direct marketing. What we sometimes also refer to as the 5 Ps, not the 4 Ps, like the 5 Ps: paid for, which is advertising, PR publicity, personal sales, promotions, and personal marketing, which is also known as direct marketing. Okay, because it's very personalized. It includes your social media, it includes emails to you. So, dear Dennis, please come and support our charity events tomorrow on campus. Thanks so much. See you there. Bye. That's personal marketing. That's direct. Go straight to you. Okay, put your strategy into a PowerPoint presentation and present a 20-minute presentation of the strategy, which you will be presenting live for this assignment. You'll be asked questions about your strategy once you've finished presenting it, so allow an extra 10 minutes for that at the end of your presentation. So guys, aim for 20 minutes. If it's a bit more, it's fine. Try not to go over more than, I'd say, 25 minutes or maybe 30 at the absolute outside. Nothing less than 15. So don't do less than 15. You need to do a robust amount of presenting on your strategy. And then remember as well, you must then you'll be asked questions afterwards. Okay, so here are the compulsory inclusions. The brand that you choose to create an integrated media management strategy around must be unique. Okay, so in other words, you cannot choose the same as another student. Some of you have WhatsApp that information to me, some of you haven't, but that's fine. Please, guys, make sure that you know that so far there are no conflicts. If somebody does send me a conflict, I'll say, unfortunately, you can't do that brand. If 2 students end up presenting the same, the student who presents first gets the marks. The student who presents second will have to do the supplementary. Okay, so please make sure that you're not. But I will check as well, and then just double check with your students as well. All right, so guys, next. You must use at least 10 academic sources. PS, by the way, those of you who've now chosen your brands, those are now locked and final because it's been way more than a week. So those of you who've chosen, those are locked and final. You must use at least 10 academic sources as follows. 5 textbooks from the library, and you saw Chris did a great job last week. He held up his textbooks, he showed his textbooks off. Okay, so that is what you have to do, guys. Take your book them out of the library if I think you're allowed to. If there is a problem, please let me know so that I know that we can then work around that. But as far as I know, you are allowed to do your presentation. Sorry, you are allowed to take them out of the library. Okay, so take the 5 texts out of the library, your 3 online academic articles. Chris also did that very well last week. You could see the articles that he referred to. What he did was he downloaded his article. So he had the PDFs there so we could see what he was referring to. If you can't download your PDF, you then need to take a screenshot or something so that I can see it, because you need to show me obviously the working URL. So I might ask you to log onto that article, but under pressure, you might say, oh, I can't find the specific section that I spoke about in my assignment. Take a screenshot of the part that you had and have it highlighted and ready. So say to you, please show me that source, and you have it on tap. So guys, this is really important. And the reason for this is not because we're trying to make your lives difficult. It is to ensure that the work is actually yours, that it's not generated by AI, that it's not given to you by somebody, some contract cheating, or you're paying somebody to do it for you, which you could still do, technically speaking, but you might find that unless you've been briefed on how the assignment runs and what the presentation is about. I have seen that many times in business before, where I have been the person who's put together the presentation, somebody else has presented it, and they don't quite know what they're talking about, which makes it quite difficult for them to then articulate things. Okay, so guys, what we want is we want you to do an honest assignment. No cheating, no shortcuts. Do the work. Your brain will grow. You'll be ready for industry, and we're happy to award you with your mark that will see you pass. Okay, but please, guys, do the work. It is NQF 8. It is the equivalent of an honors degree. It's 4th year. It is serious matter. So please make sure that you do this properly. Okay, that's why as well, if you do it at the last minute, you're going to run out of time, and then you're going to be under pressure to take shortcuts. So please, you should already have started. You should not be doing it. If you haven't started, start in the next 2 days. Okay, by the beginning of September, you need to be running full speed, because then you literally have 3 weeks. Okay, so your 3 online academic articles, and then your 2 textbooks, your Kung and your dues. Okay, you may use more than 10 sources if you like, and you may also use popular and business sources, but these must be in addition to the above 10 academic sources. Guys, I encourage you to use business sources. Many of you used wonderful sources in your F2, great sources. Unfortunately, they were only popular sources. They weren't substantiated with academic sources. I want to see both. If you're using both sources, you cannot go wrong. Okay, the assignment will be really, really a good success. So please, very important, use both. Guys, for those of you who've joined, welcome on Elena and Tabi Singh. Just wanted to let you guys know there have been 1 or 2 amendments to the assignment marking rubric, and 1 or 2 sort of adjustments, sort of just a bit of a clarification and a qualification to make it easy for you guys to finish your assignments. So that is why we're going over it again. Chris has asked me to please rebrief you guys on the assignment. That's what we're going over again. So please, you might say, oh, Rob, this is so boring. I've done this like 7 times now. It's necessary for you guys to get the feel for it. No student should ever say at the end of the thing, oh, but we weren't briefed properly. We didn't know what we were doing. Guys, and if you have an issue, please, I'm available via WhatsApp. You can email me, or you can raise your hand in class. And you know what? There are no stupid questions, and there are no stupid answers. Okay, there's no such thing. It's all one big happy, what is the word I'm looking for? One big happy brainstorming session where we all learn together. Okay, so please don't feel bad about the whole thing. Okay, so back to the thing at hand. All right, so guys, please also use business sources. The more sources you use, okay, the better. Also, guys, just to let you know, so you can use the same source if you really find a source that you like, but I will be very concerned if you both use the same source and you use the same quote. So let's say you both use Kung. Okay, Kung maybe not so much, because Kung is obviously used by everybody. If you're using Kotler and Armstrong as an example, which is a marketing textbook, and you both quote the same page, same information from Kotler and Armstrong, I'm going to then start thinking, okay, did the students work together? This is an individual assignment. You cannot do that together. You need to present it individually. It must be an individual assignment. Okay, cool. Right. So please provide a list of the sources used on the class WhatsApp group. Nobody has done that, but we will be checking that. Okay, your sources need to be presented during your presentation, i.e. show the textbooks, as Chris did last week, that you take it out of the library, hold them up during the presentation. You may be asked to open the textbook during the presentation, read the quoted source, and explain it in the context of your strategy and the justification for it. Okay, your online and other academic sources, plus the books that you used, must be included as in-text references in the assignment. So guys, this is where Chris didn't do everything. He said, listen, I didn't do the whole thing. So he quoted his sources, and some of them were verbal. It needs to be written. So if you're going to quote the source verbally, you need to at least have it written down in the assignment, so I can see the reference that you're making. And then of course you obviously need to include it in your referencing at the end, your source list. Okay, so academic articles must be accessible via a proper URL, not a dead link. That was a big concern of mine, guys, during your F2 and your F1. Lots of dead links. I'm like, why is this a dead link? Because it's unlikely that a URL that you accessed recently is likely now to have gone dead. I mean, if I go back and access information that I did, for something that I did online 10 years ago, and that link is dead, well, that's obviously could be because lots of things have changed in 10 years. But for something that you accessed in the last week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, month, that link should not be dead. Okay, you may be asked to open the link to the article during your presentation and be asked to show where you took the quote from and how you used it as a justification in support of your strategy. That's where Chris also did a good job. He downloaded the PDF, so he had the PDFs available. We could see that he quoted, and there's even that one source that he used where it had those non English characters. It looked like it looked like Russian or Greek or something. I'm like, something wrong with Chris's computer. It's got like a virus, and actually those are the names of the people who did the article. So that was very different. It was very unique. Okay, so present your assignment as a PowerPoint presentation or another application. And guys, again, as well, be careful if you're going to not present it online in PDF. If you use Prezi or if you use other things where it is moving parts, be careful that you have the bandwidth to be able to do it. Also, if you're going to be referring to YouTube videos, that are lovely additions, just make sure you have the bandwidth to be able to do it. Otherwise, what you need to do is say to people, well, look at it afterwards. So keep that in mind. Okay, but try and keep it as simple as possible so that it doesn't, stop and, freeze on you during a presentation, because it might make you nervous and panicky. And don't worry, that happens all the time to us as lecturers. It's not going to take, we're not going to lose marks because you froze up and your, computer crashed. You're not going to lose marks for that. You just log back on and then you continue presenting. So don't panic about that. It happens all the time to me. My computer closes itself down, or my internet flops, or I can't get the thing open, or whatever it is. So don't panic. Don't feel bad. That's not going to count against you. We are also human, just like you are. We're not machines or robots. We also know that, you are just a human being like we are, and we are here to help you. Okay, so once you have finished your presentation, you'll be asked additional questions about your proposed strategy. Your presentation must grab the eye and look appealing. Use of images, graphics, color, sparkle, and bling is a necessary requirement. So get creative and go to town. Please, guys, make it good. Chris did a good job last week. I would have liked to have seen it even blingy. Dennis asked me the question. It's a matter of opinion. He didn't lose marks last week because it wasn't blingy enough. It was certainly blingy. It had some bling to it. It had nice colors, etc. But really go to town, guys. Of course, that comes last. Make sure that your information is solid, but do it as you go. That's the easiest thing to do. Do it as you go. Slap it in as you go. Then it's done. Then it's out of your way. All right. Your presentation also then, okay, must not just be an ordinary PowerPoint. And guys, as I said to you, you don't need to use a graphic designer or Sleepless Nights. I have often seen presentations, I've done presentations, as I said to you, when I was client, or seen presentations when I was client, and presented presentations when I was the consultant. And you just gotta make it work, whatever you've got. But try your best. Just do your very best, okay? And don't cheat. That is the essence of the whole thing. Okay, so guys, next. This is an individual assignment. If you copy each other's work, the Copyleaks database will be able to pick this up. Okay, the same is true for using AI. Okay, so guys, please be careful, whatever you're referring to. Also, when you're looking at Wikipedia sources, Wikipedia can give you some very good information. It's got great stuff, but you can't refer to Wikipedia itself. That's not a reliable academic source. Go to the sources that Wikipedia has used, and you can use some of those sources, not all of them. What I sometimes do as well when you guys submitted your assignments in the past, I would go and check to see if you got the source from Wikipedia. That's why that took so long to mark, to go and check. So please, guys, make sure that you're just doing everything above board. Even Wikipedia these days is insisting that people add sources to create information that's verifiable and that's academically robust. But Wikipedia itself is not an academic source. You may be able to get some additional information from there. But be careful. Okay, so all right, so guys, class attendance is important. I'm so glad some of you guys are taking that to heart and that you are in class, and it will definitely affect your result, because now we're going to discuss additions to the brief. Okay, this is the most important part, so please, in the immortal words of our former president, listen carefully, okay. this is the most important part. This is the addendum to the brief that's been added just recently. Okay, and this is going to help you guys to really crystallize the thing more effectively and more efficiently. Okay, so your presentation must include the following steps. So if you follow this over here, guys, take this, re-look at Chris's presentation from last week, look at these steps over here, put them together, and use this over here as your template to create your thing. Okay, step one, understanding the brand. Okay, so research and report back on the audience, the vision and mission, the brand value. So a slide that indicates these. Remember to include in-text references for the sources where you'll find the information. Do not just go on general knowledge here. Okay, so guys, have a look. In some cases, you're not going to, for example, if you're doing Nelson Mandela, you will get an idea. If you're doing Nelson Mandela, you're going to have to refer to Long Walk to Freedom. I know nobody's doing Nelson Mandela, but if you were going to do Nelson Mandela, you'd have to try and either get a copy or get some quotes from him from Long Walk to Freedom to understand what his vision and his mission were. I know there was a very famous quote during the Rivonia trial where he said, I long for a country where black and white can work together equally and be together and live in harmony and in peace together. Okay, that's what he said. And then he also said, it is an ideal for which I'm willing to strive. But if it doesn't come to fruition, it is an ideal for which I'm willing to die. Okay, and that is why he became one of the many reasons why he became so popular. They were singing Free Nelson Mandela songs for him overseas. He had 70th birthday concert in 1988. He was still in prison in London. He was the concert was in London. He was still in prison in Cape Town, obviously. So you can imagine. So you would have to infer his vision and mission, what his brand values would be, and you can see if you listen to his speeches. So you would have to say these are, and you also welcome there to take a source. If somebody says these are the brand values of Nelson Mandela, try and find as academic a source as possible. You could do that. Okay, and what audience is he speaking to? So in other words, what is his target market? Okay, well, it was all South Africans and possibly people around the world who felt disenfranchised and disadvantaged. Okay, so you can look at the moment. I am a big fan of Israel, but I'm very, very, and I know this is an apolitical class, but I'm going to share this with you. I am very anti Israel's policy around Palestine. I'm very pro Palestine should have the right to self-determination. It should not be Israel's choice. In the same way Ukraine has the right to self-determination, it should not be Russia's choice. So I'm pro-Israel, but I'm definitely pro-Palestine as well. And Palestine has a right to a two-state solution. I am not for Israel annexing the West Bank or the Gaza Strip, and I'm not condoning terrorism, so killing of Israelis or Palestinians. I think it's wrong, and that's my moral compass leading me. But you can see over there. So Nelson Mandela was definitely, apartheid wasn't just for South Africa. Israel's been accused of, committing apartheid because their Arab citizens are not as promoted as the Jewish citizens are, etc., etc. And that's as much as I'm going to say because, like I said, it's an apolitical, a-religious class. But what I will say is that Nelson Mandela's values were not just around South Africa. They were for all of Africa. They were for all around the world. The Black Lives Matter movement would certainly be able to take some very good cues from somebody like Nelson Mandela. He is arguably the world's greatest statesman, okay, because of what he went through. If you had to do Nelson Mandela, I would say go watch a movie called Invictus about the 1995 Rugby World Cup. Fabulous movie, really explains how Nelson Mandela wanted the World Cup, wanted South Africa to win, wanted the World Cup to be a healing, reuniting thing for people of all races. It was a wonderful ideal. It really and truly was. So think about that, guys. So one slide, okay, on the brand values, the mission and vision, the target market, etc. And there are no guidelines. If you can't find something on the brand values, try, but then give us a general background, okay, a general background on your brand. Okay, so one of the people in the class has decided to choose a famous person in the media space in South Africa. Okay, it's a woman. unless they have access to her website, which they might have, which says there, this is the brand mission and the brand vision, these are my brand values, that information may not be obvious. That person would need to go and scan articles and find out as much information, read an interview of this person being interviewed, and from that you'll be able to get a fairly good idea of what they're all about. So contextualize, I'm going to go back up to the top. Okay, so let me just quickly, and I don't want to spend forever, but this is important, guys, and this, so I'm spending as much time as we need to. Okay, so if you're a tech brand, Apple and Google, there are loads of things written about Google, loads of things written about Apple, what their values are, what their mission and vision is, who their target market. Google's target market is the entire world. Okay, anybody who has access to Google, except for the countries where it's banned. I think it's banned in Russia, I think it's banned in China, I'm pretty sure it's banned in North Korea. It's probably banned in Myanmar. It's probably banned in Cuba. All the anti-American places, because, as you know, Google is American. Okay, soft drink brand, Coke, Appletiser. Appletiser, you know, at least ostensibly healthier than Coke, as an example. Person brand, what does Joe Biden stand for? What did Queen Elizabeth II stand for? What does Beyonce stand for? What did Aristotle stand for? Country brand, America. If you're doing a country brand, for example, nobody is. But if you were, so what is the country's national anthem? What is their, you know, what is it? Do they have like a country motto? So, for example, in the United States, their national anthem is the Stars and Stripes Forever. So it's about, why Stars and Stripes? Because it's about the flag. So if you listen to the context, during the Civil War, what happened was the flag was busy flying, it was all tattered, and in the midst of the Civil War between the North and the South, there the flag was flying, and so they wrote this song about, oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave. So that's what the Americans refer to themselves as. So think about that, guys, the brand values around that. City brand, what does Cape Town stand for? Isihloko saseKapa, Kaapstad, whatever it is going to be. What does it stand for? It's wine, and it's the mountain, and it's the sea, and it's whatever. So, okay, luxury brand, what does Gucci stand for? What does Dolce & Gabbana stand for? Who are their brand ambassadors, etc. An alcohol brand, Amarula is very different to Jack Daniels. Okay, so which one would you use? Porsche or Lamborghini? Porsche being German, Lamborghini being Italian. What do they stand for, etc.? What is their target market? But don't focus too heavily on this, okay? And then media brand, what does BMH Radio stand for? What does the SABC stand for? What does Netflix stand for, etc.? Okay, so don't focus. You can see this is just a one-pager. Okay, so step one, understanding brand, and this will then, guys, give you your framework from which to go. Okay, so this is what's really nice about these addendums and these additional steps, is that it really and truly sets it out for you very clearly. So you just follow this. It's like instructions for taking medicine, or instructions for, you know, starting up your new laptop, or, you know, buying your smart TV, whatever it is. Okay, step number two, an analysis of a previous integrated media campaign done by your brand. Here you need to say what the brand did and why it was successful. Here you also need to touch on the campaign, or how the campaign used advertising, PR, personal sales, direct marketing, and sales promotion as part of one central idea, but you do not need to have a slide covering each. On balance, in the 20 minutes, you should spend less time on this step, as it counts for less marks. See marking rubric below, and more time on steps 4 and 5, as they count for more marks. See marking rubric below. You can just touch on the use of each element as opposed to going into each one in detail, but you will in step 5, see below. So guys, we are going to give you some, I'm going to give you some leeway here. I'm going to say, if you want to focus in depth on the PAR strategy, you may. It's not going to count against you. That's not where the majority of your marks are going to come from, but you are still going to, you need to focus on it. And if you go into some detail, that's fine. You won't be marked down on it. Guys, and you might say as well, unfortunately, because as I've said to you guys before, all right, you're dealing with people. You're not dealing with a robot. You're not dealing with a maths equation, okay, where 1 + 1 = 2. And the answer is definite and it's finite. Even in maths, there are some things, I don't know anything about maths except, you know, BODMAS, the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, etc., percentages, that kind of thing. So the maths that we deal with is definitely, it has a beginning and an end. When you're dealing with people, as you guys are in a media environment, people don't necessarily have a beginning and an end. Not everybody is going to respond to your advertising campaign the way other people will. And you can do a lot right, and you can also do a lot wrong. If you have a look, and we've discussed this in detail before, in a world where we have brands being outside in instead of inside out, okay, let me revise that with you now, okay? Outside in means that they're outside people, the stakeholders, and just ordinary citizens influence the brand as much as the ambassadors, the curators, the stakeholders of the brand on the inside. So in other words, a social media influencer can have as big an effect on the brand as the brand manager or the marketing manager can on the inside going out. So the social media influencer can go from the outside looking in. And let's look at the example just to contextualize it for you. Okay, when Lyft, which is the airline, okay, Lyft was the name that the South African public chose. So the guy started this airline, said, let's make it all about the public. They said Lyft. We're going to call it Lyft. That was after many people, and those people who chose the name got, I think it was a year's supply of tickets, 1 ticket a month, to the 2 destinations, which are Cape Town and Durban from Joburg, or Joburg from Cape Town and Durban, or Durban to Cape Town, etc. Okay, and initially it was only the Joburg to Cape Town route. Then when they launched the Joburg to Durban route, it's tradition that when a new airline lands at an airport, they do this all around the world. They take the water cannons from the fire engines and they spray it across the body of the aircraft as it goes towards the parking bay, and then it parks. Okay, lovely. They did it all over the world. They do it in Atlanta, which is the busiest airport in the world. They did it at JFK. They did it at LAX. They did it at London Heathrow. They did it at Tokyo Narita. They did it in Sydney. They did it everywhere. Okay, they did it in Sao Paulo, which is the busiest airport in South America, etc. However, at the time, Durban had just gone through the floods. Okay, there was some people didn't have water. There was a shortage of water, and so Lyft was lambasted by local people who said, "Why are you wasting water? There's no water to go around." Okay, and they actually got negative publicity around something that's supposed to be a very happy affair. Okay, and that was a negative thing. And they said, oops. And they said, no, but please note, guys, the water that was used was grey water. It was recycled. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I hope that it was true and that they didn't just, tell a little lie there to cover themselves. But hopefully it was. And, so everybody makes mistakes, and they had a bit of a backlash and then people got over it. I don't know that it affected them, but you can see outside influencers using social media, which is the 5th element of your marketing communications mix, direct marketing, influenced the outcome of the brand and turned something that was supposed to be positive into something negative. Okay, so for example, there's another tradition. Let me share this with you without boring you to tears. Another tradition that they also do when airlines launch new routes is the arrivals airport usually has a cake. So they'll put on the airport on the cake JNBDUR, which is the airport codes for OR Tambo and King Shaka, and they put a cake out. Okay, and they'll say welcome, and they'll cut the cake up and take some photographs, and it's a lovely PR exercise and publicity exercise and everything. Now, a potential, the healthy eaters of South Africa could now say it's disgraceful the way you're promoting, the consumption of unhealthy, saturated, fatty foods and foods that make people fat, and foods that espouse sugar and allow people to eat unhealthily. We've got a crisis with obesity in this country. That's why we have a sugar tax. How dare you? How dare you? And that completely turns the whole thing on its head. That's not what they intended to do. It was supposed to be a fun cake thing. Now there's been this backlash from the community. So you can never tell what's going to happen. Okay, and you might say, well, Rob, how is this really relevant? Maybe you need to discuss a backlash that one of the people had, and maybe it will inform step 4 and 5, which you're going to go through now, because this is what we're going to go through now and how the strategy that you're going to be presenting has changed a little bit. Okay, so guys, go through it. Don't do as much. If it's a well-established brand, there's probably going to be more on it than not. Okay, but have a look at it and do the best that you can. Please remember as well, you're always welcome to contact me via WhatsApp. I may not respond immediately, but I will respond to WhatsApp. You are welcome to contact me via email. You can send me a voice note. Okay, so many of you have simply private emails, or sorry, private messages on WhatsApp. I've responded to each and every one of you. You're welcome to, and if you really truly want some help, we are here for you guys. You're paying, as I said to you last week, a lot of money for this course. I certainly intend to make sure you get your money's worth. I wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for you. So I'm grateful to you. Thank you. And I want to make sure that you guys feel that you're getting your money's worth. You certainly will get your money's worth as far as when I'm around. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so you can see, guys, touch on them, not too much detail. Step number 3, a note on challenges facing the brand in 2023. This will be a very quick note. Do not spend too much time here in the presentation. Remember to use and cite sources here. So, guys, a note on challenges, so a slide on challenges. For example, as you guys know, if I was going to be doing Coke, the big thing with Coke as well, like the cake that I was speaking about early on, the big thing with Coke is the lack of people wanting to eat or drink sugary drinks. That's why Coke has now been forced by government to reduce the amount of sugar in their drink, because we are having people who are becoming diabetic, they're obese, they're having heart attacks, they're having strokes. You know, they can't afford to feed their children because, you know, they buy Coke, which is very expensive. So those are some of the challenges facing soft drinks. Okay, you might say, well, Rob, how does it apply to a person brand? Well, maybe now I know there's been a bit of a backlash. Now, if you look at Meta and Threads versus X, which is now obviously what Twitter used to be, I know what they're saying now is that social influencers are making it's harder for social influencers to make inroads into being able to promote their own brand. If you are a person brand and you have a big followership, I think that's the right word, followership on X, which used to be Twitter, etc., etc. And now Twitter is not allowing you to be quite as vocal about promoting your products in the future. That could be a threat, an existential threat to you as a person brand. Maybe there's a backlash as a politician, you know. So maybe you might say, for example, let's take another look as an example. None of you is doing this as well, but just to contextualize for you, let's have a look at the controversy around Julius Malema with Kill the Boer. Okay, so a lot of people are saying it's hate speech and you're promoting farm murders and so on and so forth. And Julius Malema is like, well, it's not actually according to the Equality Court. It's freedom of speech and it relates to the past. It's a song from the struggle. Therefore, I can. But that, as you can see, is a challenge to his brand. He might say, yeah, but is it really going to endear me? No, endear me. Sorry, endear me. Oh, I couldn't think of the word. Endear me to people in the thingy, because you know, in the country, because now what they're saying is, will Julius Malema ever really get more than 10%? No, he's too controversial. He's too left of center. No, he's not going to get more than 10%. He might surprise us, but there we go, guys. So think about some of the challenges that be facing your brand. If you are a fashion brand like a Dolce & Gabbana, or you are a Gucci, one of the elements that you could be facing is the problem around circular fashion, fashion that is recycled, fashion that doesn't waste a lot, because the fashion industry can be very wasteful. So it's in season now, end of season sale. After the end of season sale, it gets dumped, it gets chucked, it gets sent to charity, whatever it is. There's a lot of waste. I don't know that much about the fashion industry, to tell you the honest to goodness truth, but they could also be accused of price gouging. Does it really cost 3,000 Rand for a Dolce & Gabbana dress, or a Gucci dress, or a Gucci handbag, whatever it is? I doubt it. When I saw the prices last week that Chris put on the group about what you have to pay for a pair of Nike Tackies, I almost had a heart attack. I would never in a trillion years pay a million Rand, listen to me, 1,500 Rand or 2,500 Rand for a pair of Tackies. I think that's absolutely mad. Okay, I think that's really and truly crazy. But you guys might say, well, Rob, that's the going. Okay, for me, that would be, in this day and age, an existential threat because it's too expensive. They price themselves out of the market. If you can barely feed your children, you're not going to go buy a pair of Nike Tackies unless they're rip-off, etc. So think about it, guys. What are the challenges that face your brand? Do a slide on that over there. Step number 3. Okay, now, guys, this is really where these are the money elements. Okay, step number 4. And step number 5. Okay, this is where your money elements are going to be. And guys, the reason for this is because it really stimulates your creativity and makes you think beyond what's already happened. So you're not just doing an evaluation of an existing campaign, but you're also looking at how you can extend that campaign. So it really gets the brain going, gets you thinking, gets you, you know, creative juices, but how you, and I was thinking about this last night, because if I were to present Coke, I started thinking, how would Coca-Cola refine their strategy? And I came up with some ideas. I was amazing simply by asking myself the question. So this is a crucial step for yourself. You're gonna need to ask yourself the question, how would my brand, and if I was Nelson Mandela, now you might say, well, Rob, my brand is dead. Nelson Mandela is dead. Okay, but his foundation lives on. I think Graça Machel, his wife, is still alive. I think so. His children are still alive. The Mandela legacy lives on. Okay, so how would they continue to promote the legacy of their father and their grandfather beyond, you know, beyond the grave, so to speak? I mean, Nelson Mandela is on our money. Okay, he's still regarded as one of the finest statesmen in the world. There's statues all over the country of him. People hold him in very high regard and high esteem. So you might say, well, Rob, what about Queen Elizabeth II? Well, the royal family lives on. There's Charles, and there's William and Kate, and Camilla, and there's Harry and Meghan, and so on and so forth. So you can look at that over there. So guys, Aristotle, you might say, Rob, what about Aristotle? Aristotle, we live and breathe his example for democracy, his example for you know, for thinking, for advanced thinking. Is the Greeks love to put together arguments and strategies. Aristotle was responsible for coming up with some musical concepts. No, that was Pythagoras. Sorry, Pythagoras. Was it Pythagoras? Yes, it was Pythagoras. Okay, but even so, guys, think about it. Those things, nobody ever just, and this is going too philosophical. This is too deep. You don't just die. Okay, you remain, you continue in some form after life. Your essence, your energy, etc., etc. It's not just, you know, so it's not, if you're choosing something, if you were choosing a defunct brand, that may be more difficult, but this is where you have to be creative. So the point is as well, choose your brand carefully. Make sure that you chose one where you can really sink your teeth into this over here. Okay, so guys, outline your idea for the new campaign by stating its objective, its central idea, its campaign name and campaign values. This can bounce off of the previous campaign that you analyze, as in the example presentation, but it does not have to. This can all be done on one slide. So guys, this is important. It's a great idea. As you saw with Chris's, it bounced off the previous strategy, but it doesn't have to. And you can then do this over there. So think about this carefully, guys. It doesn't, please note, it looks terribly complicated. Once you break it down and start, you'll see that it's not really all that complicated. And I have seen your assignments. I've now marked 2 of your assignments. You guys, most of you have put together some very good assignments. You guys are very smart. You guys are a clever bunch. You're not in 4th year for nothing. You've earned your stripes. You guys have done a very good job. I've been impressed with that. Unfortunately, it hasn't always come together as is required academically. But the ideas that you generated, the things that you've noted, your feedback in class, these have all been tip-top. They've really, really been good. I've spoken to a lot of you personally. I've got a very good sense of, you know, how smart you guys are. You are perfectly capable of doing this assignment. It's not beyond your ken, not beyond your abilities. It's been checked by the academic manager. It's been approved by the branch manager. Your S1 has already been ratified and checked by an external moderator. It's all done in accordance with things. So please don't feel overwhelmed. You just got to sit down. You got to get it done. Okay, so there we go. Step number 4. Step 5, be specific about the execution of your campaign by providing your ideas for the advertising, PR publicity, personal sales, direct marketing, and sales promotion. In other words, your plan for each of these. You should have a slide for each of these 5 elements in your presentation. Most of your time in the presentation should be spent on steps 4 and 5, as this is the core of your strategy, which is the most important part of this assessment at NQF level 8, in which critical thinking and the cognitive ability that goes into creating a strategy is very important. Okay, so guys, I'm going to repeat steps 4 and 5 just to let them really sink in, and let's break them down step by step by step, because this is the money. Okay, step 4, let's quickly revise steps 1, 2, and 3. Step number 1, okay, and this has been uploaded to Cole Campus, so this brief is available to you guys. Step number 1, do a background slide on the brand, where it's coming from, brand values, mission, vision, audience, target market, etc. It doesn't have to be long and detailed. Step number 2, analyze the previous integrated media campaign that was done, looking at the 5 elements. You can do this in a fair amount of detail, or you can just do a precursory overview of the whole thing. Step number 3, notes and a slide on the challenges the brand is facing in 2023. Step number 4, outline your idea for the new campaign. Okay, so come up with a new campaign. You have to create a new campaign. State its objective. What do you want to achieve? Its objective may be very similar to the previous objective. Okay, I can tell you right now that the #1 objective of Coca-Cola since 1886 up to 2023 and beyond is sales of Coke. That's what they do. They sell Coke. That's how they make their money. They don't make money from, you know, PR or whatever it is. Okay, they make money from sales of Coke. That's what you do. You either buy Coke Diet, Coke Zero, or you buy the normal Coke with reduced sugar. Okay, or you buy one of the ancillary products that belongs to the Coca-Cola company, like Fanta and Sparletta, I think, are also part of Coke, but I'm not sure. Okay, but you can see over there, their stated objective is the same as it's always been: sell cold drinks, sell Coke, sell Cokes. That's what it is. The central idea, what would the central idea be? And I've come up with a really nice angle, which I will share with you guys one of these days. Let's see if somebody's come into the class or bumped off the class. Let's see. Okay. Okay, cool. So guys, you can see over there, okay, the central idea, the campaign name. So come up with a name for your campaign. I've got an idea for Coke, okay, and your campaign values. You might say, Rob, this sounds so complicated. It's not, guys. Maybe the only value that you have is to sell your Cokes. Maybe Dolce & Gabbana wants to, you know, promote a new line of fashion. Maybe they want to do a fashion extension. Maybe they want to push their fall. I think it's not fall. I think they're already back on summer, because remember the fashion industry is well ahead of time. So we are now going into spring. The northern hemisphere is going into fall or autumn, as we call it in South Africa. They're really starting to. I think the fashion shows coming up now in September, October will all be spring 2024. So their spring, our autumn, because they're already ahead. So they will be planning this. And I know nothing. If you are fashion, I elected for a bit of time a number of years ago at Lysoff, which is the fashion school, and they were all fashion majors. They did a BA in fashion. And you might say, well, that's so weird. It was very interesting, and they were all very, very, also very good students. So you'd be amazed how much goes into fashion. It is so interesting, a very interesting line over there. But you might say, well, what about cars, Rob? Or what if I'm doing a car, or if I'm doing a person, or if I'm doing a tech brand, or if I'm doing, you know, a media brand, whatever it is? Well, then come up with some campaign name and come up with the values. What do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? And those guys will be related to the brand. So think about the brand. What are the overall values of the brand? And unless the brand is completely changing, okay, it will still have the similar values. I, for example, believe, as I said to you last week, that X is a mistake. Elon Musk may be a fabulous half South African, because I think he's still got his South African citizenship. Okay, and he's a smart guy and is a very wealthy guy. I think X is a mistake. I think you've taken all that brand capital that you had with Twitter, with the tweets and with the little birdie, and you've ruined it by turning it into X. I think it's a mistake, but that's my opinion. He might surprise us all and turn something bigger than it's ever been, etc., etc. He now wants to take on Mark Zuckerberg, and they want to have a Barney together. And Mark Zuckerberg's training now and is becoming a jiu-jitsu specialist and all this kind of thing. And that's all pipe and PR to try and get people to pay attention to X, or to SpaceX, or to Tesla, or whatever it is. But you can see over there, I think it would be a mistake if what if he was going to be doing Twitter. You could argue this is a really, really good thing, and then tell me what are the campaign values. What does he intend to achieve? You'd have to go and research that in detail. Okay, so there we go, guys. We can bounce off the previous campaign, but it does not have to. You can put this on one slide. Okay, and then this over here is also the money shot. Step number 5. Be specific about the execution of your campaign by providing your ideas for the advertising, PR publicity, personal sales, direct marketing, and sales promotion. In other words, your plan for each of these. You should have a slide for each of these 5 elements in your presentation. Most of your time will be spent on these steps 4 and 5, as this is the core of your strategy, because you're creating, which is the most important part of the assessment, at NQF level 8. Why? Because we want to test your critical thinking. Okay. It's not just about regurgitating a previous strategy, although you can interpret that strategy and you can analyze the strategy, which is part of critical thinking. But we also want to encourage you to be creative in coming up with something new. And you might say, Rob, how do you top Coke? How do you top a Coke strategy? How do you top, whatever, a Lamborghini? I mean, they've got a wonderful car and they do everything very, very well. Go back to step number 3. Where is there a problem? Guys, every brand on earth, even the most successful, have issues. Okay, every brand has issues. So every brand has issues. Okay, so go and determine what it is, where they are struggling or where there's a potential for weakness. Okay, and then let that be the focus of your strategy. So it requires a lot of thinking. Also, just to let you guys know, your S1, your summative assessment, is very similar to the F3. Okay, so this is almost like training and preparation for your summative assessment. They're very, very similar. Okay, so think about this as your trial run, your prelim for your final assignment, which you need to submit, obviously, for your finals, and then of course you will have finished this module. Okay, please, guys, work very hard. You can do so well. Okay, we're looking to really give you good marks. I would really love to see you guys do well. I would love nothing more than to see you guys all pass, because you honestly did the work. You worked your bum off. You did your very best, and you did really well. So please, really work hard. Okay. So the cognitive ability that goes into creating a strategy is really important at NQF level 8. Because remember, again, next year you're going into industry. Some of you are already in industry. You're going to go into industry, and you need to be able to come up with creative ideas. And remember as well, it's about problem solving. How do you create a solution for somebody's problem? And that's what you do. Okay. So guys, please refer to the example F3 presentation slideshow for direction on how to integrate your academic sources. That's what's written in over there. All right, guys. So are there any questions so far before we continue? Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody want to add anything? Is there any uncertainty? Is there any lack of clarity? Are you feeling a little bit shaken? Are you worried? Etc. 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 How are you guys feeling about this? Are you guys all okay? Anybody? Are you guys all okay? I'm hoping that you are. Please feel free to either raise your hand or put yourself in the chat box, or you can just unmute yourself and speak. If you want to, you're most welcome to do that. All right. Okay, so guys, assessment criteria and mark breakdown. The following marking rubric will be used to assess your presentation. You can use it to see what you aim for in your presentation and where your marks will come from. Okay, so guys, you can see over here, it's all been broken down according to the steps. Okay, let's look at those again. Step 1, understanding the brand. Step 2, analysis of a previous integrated media campaign. Step 3, the challenges the brand is facing in 2023. 4, your idea for a new campaign. And 5, your execution of that campaign in terms of the 5 elements of the marketing communications mix. Okay, so it's been clearly put together for you guys over there. All right, so you must say, gosh, Rob, this is a huge amount of work. Guys, you can't do this assignment in one day. Really, you can't. I couldn't do this assignment in one day, and I have been doing campaigns for many moons. Yeah, and I know a fair amount. I mean, I must quote Socrates, I think, was it Aristotle, who said, I'm a very, very clever man because I know that I know nothing. Okay, so I can honestly say that I agree with that. When I started my PhD, my then supervisor said to me, by the time you get to the end of this process, you will realize that how little you know about how little you know. Okay, so I'm not saying that I am the purveyor of all knowledge. not under any circumstances, but I can tell you it's a lot of work. Okay, and at fourth year level, it's what you expect. It's equivalent of an honors, guys. If you're doing a 3-year degree at another university, this would be your second degree. It would be an honors degree. Okay. But unfortunately, or fortunately, it's a 4-year degree, so you get your BBA at the end of the thing, and that's a wonderful thing. It's an gift 8. Okay, so let's have a look then at the marking criteria and the mark breakdown. Step number 1, understanding the brand, research and report back on the audience, the vision and the mission, and the brand values. Your goal is to show what you have done, your research, show that you have done your research, and know what the brand is about and who the audience is. Okay, so you get no marks if you didn't do it. 1 mark is a fail. You do all of the audience, the vision and the mission or brand values are missing or incorrect or not justified by sources. Okay, so guys, your audience, your vision and mission, your brand values are missing or incorrect or they're not justified by sources. So please be aware of that. Keep that in mind. Okay, number 2, you pass, you get 2 marks. Okay, 2 of the audience, vision and the mission or brand value is something or incorrect or not justified by sources. 3 marks, which gives you your distinction, is 1 of the audience, the vision and mission or the brand values are missing or incorrect or not justified by the sources. And then 4 is full marks. All of the audience, the vision and the mission and the brand values are present and justified by sources. So guys, please note, very important, some of you guys do really, really good work and you put all the stuff together and you have all the things, but the sources are missing. You have to remember your sources. And remember, it's got to be a combination of popular sources and also academic sources. Please, guys, that's very important. Many of you in the past have lost marks because your assignment was really good, but there was no academic justification for it. And remember as well, this is different because it's a presentation, you can't do long, long paragraphs with 1 source at the end. That is not source integration. Okay, so if you have a question around that, I'm here for you. Please let me know, and I will gladly go through it with you. But that is not source integration. Okay, step number 2, an analysis of a previous integrated media campaign, which is done by your brand. Here you need to say what the brand did and why it was successful. Okay, so your goal is to show that you understand what goes into a successful integrated media campaign and what that looks like. This mark is out of 4, will be multiplied by 2 to count out of 8 for weighting purposes. Okay, so Chris has explained to you here how it's going to be weighted. Okay, so you can see if you don't do it, you get 0 marks. You get 1 mark, which is a fail if your analysis is done, but the campaign is not an example of an integrated media campaign, or it is an example of an integrated media campaign, but 3 or more of the 5 elements have not been addressed. So guys, you must address advertising and PR and publicity, which are together as one, and personal sales, and sales promotions, and direct marketing. Okay, very important. 2 marks, which is a pass. An analysis has been implemented, but either 2 of the 5 elements have been left out of the analysis, or the student has not indicated how the elements have worked together to support one central idea. In other words, the analysis is there, but somewhat scattered. Okay, and guys, this is when you're doing the analysis of this over here, focus more on it in steps 4 and 5. But remember as well, each of your steps must have an academic basis for it. Okay, so I know it's going to be very labor intensive to do 5 academic sources for each of the elements of the marketing communications mix for your analysis of an existing strategy. So nobody's going to be asking you required to do that. But give an overview source. Okay, like for example, if you use Kotler and Armstrong and they said it's important that campaigns are consistent and clear and therefore compelling, that isn't a reference to any of the elements of the marketing communications mix, but it is an overall reference, a general reference that can be used for an academic grounding for your analysis. Okay, I hope you guys understand that. Let me repeat it. Okay, so if you had to use a source like Kotler and Armstrong, and they say consistent, clear, and therefore compelling communication, one idea, one voice, one heart, one mind, that kind of thinking is what creates a successful campaign that can then be successfully integrated across the 5 elements of the marketing communications mix. So you say that in your sourcing, it's an academic source. You haven't needed to go and find 5 sources that you need to put into each of the elements, but you've given me a source anyway. So I can say, aha, the student has thought about it. The student has integrated sources, academic sources into the section, and also included business sources, and they're able to understand and explain. This is a very good assignment. And guys, again, I will say it again. Some of you have done some fantastic work. Smart bunch you are. Some fantastic work. I really hope that you will take this to heart and present some really, really good stuff. Okay, next, number 3 is your distinction. So 3 marks multiplied by 2. Analysis has shown how the campaign in question integrated advertising, PR, personal sales, direct marketing, and sales promotion as part of one central idea. Student has touched on how the campaign used 4 out of 5 of the elements and shows an understanding of the mechanics of a successful integrated media campaign. Okay, so guys, you can see over there, some bits missing, but still, it's still a strong pass. And then, of course, 4 marks or 8 marks, which is your distinction or your full marks. Analysis shows how the campaign in question integrated advertising, PR, personal sales, direct marketing, and sales promotion as part of one central idea. The student has touched on how the campaign used all 5 elements and shows an understanding of the mechanics of a successful integrated media campaign. All right. So there we go, guys. Are there any questions? Are you all understanding this so far? Are there any, see if there's anybody raised their hands because I'm not on my screen. Okay, are there any questions so far? Any concerns? I don't see anything. Please feel free to interrupt me if you need to. Can you check the group? See if anybody's trying to get hold of us on WhatsApp. Dennis, send me a message that's up screen sharing. No. Dennis, I am still screen sharing. Can you hear me, guys? Can you see my screen? Please let me know if one of you can see my screen. Can you get us a message quickly?
The screen sharing is not on.
Is it not on?
No.
Oh no, why? It was. Oh my gosh. Sorry, guys. Was it on earlier?
Yes, there is, but for the past maybe 10 minutes it is not on.
Okay, thank you for letting me know. Okay, thanks so much, Michelle, for letting me know. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, I'm gonna have to repeat some stuff then, just so because I should be. I didn't even notice. Oh, okay. I think maybe I pressed a button that I shouldn't have. Okay. Sorry about that. My apologies. Let's try that again. Oh, crumbs. Let me see what's happening over here. What am I doing? Why doesn't it want to share? Now, let me just quickly look. Sorry, I'm trying to figure this out. Okay. Okay, let me see if this is going to work. Guys, can you see it now? Guys, can you see this Word document?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you kindly. Okay. I'm going to rewind then a little bit so we can go over this over here. Sorry about that. Michelle, was that you speaking? That was you, hey? Okay, guys, I'm going to go over this again over here. Are there any questions around step 4 and step 5 for the campaign? Okay, my darling students, I'm going to need your help, please. I want to rewind so that we have the necessary information. I don't want to rewind too much, but I don't want you guys to feel like you don't understand what's going on because you didn't see the screen, because I didn't realize that the screen was no longer sharing, and that's important that you have the information. Do you want me to go through the addendum again from the beginning, or where should I pick it up? Can you please advise me?
For me, I was watching on the. I downloaded the document earlier, so as you were talking, I was looking at it. So I don't know about others. For me, you can continue.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Michelle. Other guys, Dennis, are you able to hear me? Lindiwe, Onlena, Notando, Tekofatso. Do you guys want me to rewind, or shall I just continue? Are you with me so far, or do you have the necessary?
Could you please start from step 4?
Sure, I'm going to do that. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thanks for letting me know. Michelle, thank you for letting me know. Sorry, this is going to be a bit boring for you now, but for the sake of the other students, I'm going to repeat the elements over there. So let me take you back to the beginning of the addendum. Okay. Dennis is having connection problems. Just sending Dennis a message. Okay, cool. Keep trying. Okay, because Dennis is having issues with his connectivity. Just sending Dennis a message quickly, guys. Dennis, the class has informed me that yes, indeed, that I had stopped screen sharing by accident, or I pressed the wrong button, or maybe my connection flopped. I'm not sure. So I had stopped screen sharing, but I'm going to go back again and repeat these bits. So when you watch the video, or you can join us now for class, excuse me, and you'll get the necessary information. Cool. Thanks so much. Bye. Okay, guys. Let's start again from the beginning of the addendum to the brief. So pretty much up to now, everything that we've discussed is pretty much the same. Okay, so nothing has really changed. Choose your brand. You're going to do an integrated media management strategy around that brand. The difference is that you're not just going to be analyzing an old strategy. You also need to create a new strategy. So if you want to know what the difference is between what we had initially decided on and what we've decided on now, in line with the course requirements for SAQA, the CHE, and the HEQSF, because remember, guys, the course is accredited by SAQA. Okay, so that is to ensure quality control. So you know you're getting a good quality course at the right standard based on certain criteria and certain standards that are put in place. It's like a quality assurance thing, so that you know when you walk out of Boston, your degree is worth something. It's not just the paper that you've got. It actually means something. It counts for something. Okay, so previously, what we did was we allowed students to choose whether the focus was going to be on the evaluation of an old strategy and or then the creation of a new strategy. Okay, and previously what I had said is if you're looking at a very successful brand, your campaign is going to be more a focus on old strategy and less of a focus on new strategy. Okay, so feedback that has been, it's now been discussed, and we've had a look at it and brainstormed some more and all the rest of it, and it has now been amended to make it clearer for you guys and also to meet the necessary requirements. What we've now said is you need to actually have both. You must have a look at old strategy, but that's not going to be the main focus. The main focus is going to be you bringing in new strategy. So you have to propose new strategy. And the reason and the thinking for this, okay, now my computer says I have no available online storage left, so I think I'm going to have a problem. Please let me know if my computer connection fails. I hope it doesn't. Okay, please let me know that if it does, I'll have a look and see. I might clear some stuff. This computer's not got a very big hard drive. I'll clear the cache when we take or the cache when we take a break just now. Okay, but let's get through this because this is really, really important. Okay, so, and sorry, I know I say okay and a lot. I always say, you know, and okay, and you know, apologies for that. It's just a force of habit. When I go for Dale Carnegie training one day and learn how to speak more eloquently as a public speaker, and it's not a lecturing situation, I'll learn to get rid of the okays. In the interim, you'll just have to forgive me and live with it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So what I wanted to say to you guys is you now need to give us new strategy. And the reason for this, guys, is because when you go into industry next year, you're going to be required to come up with new, in all likelihood. If you get, and remember, you're not going to get a job that is a perfect fit for your degree. It never works out like that. You'll find yourselves developing new skills that you didn't ever think that you needed, street skills, that not just coming from the book, street skills, street smarts that you won't always get from a book. Okay, but you need to be able to put together a campaign for somebody. If somebody hires you and they say, look, you're it, you need to be able to put together a campaign that really explains to them what they can do. I mean, I have a client now, I'll share with you guys, without going into too much detail. Okay, maybe I'll share it with you guys in future. This client is looking for copy for his website. So I've been tasked to create new copy, mostly for websites to promote, and it's a company that does video. Okay, so I changed the language up and made the language quite different because I didn't want the language to be boring, because sometimes if you go onto your website and the language is standard language, it's boring. So I used provocative, and not in like a bad way, language, okay, that was that try to shake things up and look at it from a different perspective. Client came back to me and said, I don't like the style of writing. I would never talk about creating a sexy video for one of my clients. I mean, my 20-year-old client, I'm now not suddenly going to offer them sexy video. And I didn't mean sexy video as in like literally sexy video. I mean video that is sexy. In other words, it's cool, it's hip, it's with it, it's unusual, it meets the needs of the client, but he doesn't like the terminology. He's like, no, that for me is, I would never. So I have to now go back and adapt the content to something that's more plain and ordinary, because that's what he wants. Even though, in my personal opinion, as somebody who does a lot of reading and a lot of writing, you don't want copy that's boring and text heavy, because people don't read it, they just glaze over. Okay, so that is the consideration. I need to now strike the balance between copy that is interesting and exciting without it being, because he said to me, the way that you write it sounds like you've written it for a TikTok user or a YouTube channel. That's not what we do. We focus on creating video, but for corporate clients, it's training videos, and it is sort of like, so like an older crowd, like a Gen X, you know, kind of thing. I'm Gen X, but anyway, so, but I'm in the marketing industry, so you know, I'm sort of a bit more flexible, and that is client, guys. That's what client wants, so I have to adjust it accordingly. So I'm telling you all of that to tell you this: you need to be able to go into industry next year and create a fabulous campaign for a company, for your client, for your bosses, for your employer, for your clients, if you're going to be working for yourself privately, and it needs to include some elements of creativity. Now, I know that you may not necessarily be an advertising agency, but you might get a job at an advertising agency. You might get a job at a PR agency. You might be the front and center. Some company might hire you and say, listen, you're it. Whatever you say in marketing is what goes. Here's your budget. Please spend it wisely. Please report back to us on how you spent it, what the return on investment is, and please, you know, go ahead. Then it's up to you. And you might say, okay, I've only got 50,000 Rand a month to spend. In which case, then you can't hire a consultant who's going to be able to consult to you, because you can't afford a consultant. You are going to have to put together the campaign all on your own. You're going to have to sit there with all the elements and come up with something. So the idea behind the slightly amended assignment is to help you guys more effectively. Sorry, let me just turn this off. Okay, help you guys more effectively, not just analyze an existing campaign, but come up with your own campaign. And that's the big difference between last week. So last week we said it's a voluntary thing, it's not mandatory. Now we're making it mandatory. We're saying you have to include something new. You have to create something new, because it's fourth year and you guys need to give us something extra. Show us your creativity, show us your critical analysis skills, show us your thinking, show us your agility as you take you into industry. So that's the big difference. Okay, so what has now been done is this addendum to the brief gives you exactly the steps that you need to follow to be able to go through this. And if you follow these steps and have a look at Chris's assignment that he submitted last week, you will be fine and you will pass, provided that you didn't cheat, you didn't use AI, you didn't use contract people to do it for you, and you have all your sources in place. If you don't have those things in place, guys, and you are using somebody else's strategy, then there is going to be trouble. Not for me, it's you guys. I already have my degrees. You need to get yours. Okay, so please, let me repeat what I wanted to say earlier on. So these are the steps. Step number 1, understand the brand. So research and report back on the audience, vision and mission, and brand values. I'll just run through these quickly because they have already been discussed. Okay, so guys, this is just a one slide where you're giving me the background, like Chris did last week, and he said, this is the background of Nike, this is the background of Air Jordan, this is where it comes from, these are the mission and vision of Nike, these are the brand values of Nike. And it was just a simple one slide, so you can give us some context. Okay, so because in order for you to be able to know what your strategy for the brand is going to be, you need to first understand the brand. So that's step number 1. Step number 2, analysis of a previous integrated media campaign done by your brand. Here you need to say what the brand did and why it was successful. Here you need to touch on how the campaign used advertising, PR, personal sales, direct marketing, and sales promotion as part of one central idea, but you do not need to have a slide covering each. On balance, in the 20 minutes, you should spend less time on this step as it counts for less marks, see marking rubric below, and more time on steps 4 and 5 below as they count for more marks, see marking rubric below. You can just touch on the use of each element as opposed to going into each one in detail like you will in step 5, see below. Okay, so step 2, analyze an existing campaign. So for example, for me, Coke, I'd look at the Hillside advert from 1971, their Holidays Are Coming advert with Santa, because that was, I mean, the Coke owned Santa. I'd have a look at their, that's for advertising. For PR, I'd have a look at, imagine somebody into the group. I'd have a look at the success of the, you know, the big oversized what's the thing called, the Coke dispenser, you know, the Coke dispenser machine, the oversized one, the PR they got for that. For personal sales, I would then, and so on and so forth. So I will, that's what I would do to discuss this over there, and those are all part of the existing campaigns. Okay, step number 3, a note on the challenges facing the brand in 2023. This will be a very quick note. Okay, so it's a quick slide, not going to be long. Okay, so, and I discussed it with you guys, you have to go back and listen to the video again. So what's happening for Coke, as I said to you, maybe they're seeing a slump in sales because people are concerned about the health effects of Coke. I was thinking about it last night when I was looking at the camera, like, how would you reposition Coke as a drink that people can use when they go Zumba, or people use, you know, and I thought to myself, you can't really. So what you could never pull off that Coke is a healthy drink. So what you would do is cater to the market that's not that concerned about health. Or what you could do, and that's what Coke has done. Always what they have done is they focus on lifestyle. They say lifestyle, lifestyle, lifestyle. You know, some of the slogans in the past have been, have a Coke and a smile, open happiness. You know, so those are examples. And what they do is, I remember this one advert they had in the 1980s. It was a whole bunch of people standing around in a kitchen and they were making prawns. I think it was like a paella dish, but it was, okay, and they were all dancing to Aretha Franklin's Riding on the Freeway. Okay, so, and there was Coke. It was drinking Coke. So it was like a lifestyle thing. What they used to do when they promoted cigarettes back in the old days, before you guys were alive, they used to do cigarette adverts. Like the Marlboro Man was all about lifestyle. And I always said if I was going to become a smoker, I'd end up smoking Peter Stuyvesant because their payoff line was your international passport to smoking pleasure. What they did was they created a brand association between Peter Stuyvesant and international travel. So, for example, the one advert, they're always on at the cinema. If you went to the cinema, they always had these smoking adverts. The one would be, you know, they were skiing in Biarritz, or they were skiing in, you know, a Chamonix or whatever it was in France or in Switzerland. And then at the end of their skiing, they'd all smile and all be smoking a cigarette. And you know, then there'd be another one where they're all lying on the beach tanning and they'd be smoking a cigarette. And there'd be another one where they would be, you know, climbing top of the Eiffel Tower and looking out of it and saying, "Ooh, and smoking a cigarette." So it was all lifestyle. So that is what Coke would need to do, is focus on lifestyle. You can't promote it as a health brand. You have to focus on it as a lifestyle brand. Okay, next. Very important. Step number 4 and step number 5. Step number 4, outline your idea for the new campaign by stating its objective, the central idea, the campaign name, and the campaign values. This can bounce off of the previous campaign that you analyze, as in the example presentation, but it does not have to. This can all be done on one slide. Okay, so guys, you need to come up with a new idea, and this is where you're going to be getting your marks. So please pay attention and do the very best that you can over here. As I said to you, with me, I thought of some clever ways in which Coke could connect with a global audience in this day and age. And what I was even looking at is I came up with a very good idea for a tagline for a Coke campaign, but it would only cater to a Latin American market. So an American and then a Latin American market. So markets in Asia and in Africa wouldn't really understand it because it's in Spanish. Okay, and it's, although it's fun and it's a fun way of doing things, it doesn't work that well because it's not global, because it's only focused on Spanish. Okay, and not everybody in the world speaks Spanish. Okay, so not even everybody in South America speaks Spanish. The Portuguese speak, sorry, the Brazilians speak Portuguese. Okay, so keep that in mind. What is your new campaign going to be? And then step number 5, be specific about the execution of your campaign by providing your ideas for the advertising, PR publicity, personal sales, direct marketing, and sales promotion. In other words, your plan for each of these. You should have a slide for each of these 5 elements in your presentation. Most of your time in the presentation should be spent on steps 4 and 5, as this is the core of your strategy, which, as I said earlier on, is the most important part of this assessment at NQF 8, in which critical thinking and the cognitive ability that goes into creating a strategy is very important. Okay, and then guys, as well, Chris said, please refer to the example F3 presentation, the slideshow for direction on how to integrate your academic sources. Okay, then guys, this is really important. The assessment criteria and mark breakdown, as I was saying to you previously. Let me see if there are any messages in the group. Just a note from Dennis. Thanks, Dennis. Okay, cool. Okay, nobody needs any more information. Let's see, yeah, maybe okay. All right, so guys, just to let you know, and we'll take a break after this, I promise, and give you a break, and we're going to go into the next stuff. Okay, let's see. Some people are still here. Very good. I'm glad to see the good turnout. Well done. Nice to see you all. Good to have you on board. Okay, next. So the criteria. So Nortando, you will remember that you had some questions last week that came to the fore. So these will answer your questions, you know, and bring more information to light for you and clear up some of the confusion that you might have had. And Nortando, that's not aimed at you. Many students might have been, you know, confused. I, for example, had no idea that I was no longer screen sharing until Dennis actually told me about it. So guys, please feel very, very free to let me know if you are having issues. I'm very happy to accommodate you. Okay, next. Okay, so step 1, exactly the same steps. Step 1, understand the brand. Step 2, analyze a previous campaign. Step 3, what are the challenges facing the brand in 2023? Step 4, come up with a new campaign. Step 5, be specific about the campaign and discuss the 5 elements of the marketing communications mix in that campaign. Okay, so that is what we are looking at now again. So please forgive me, I know this is repetition. Try not to be too bored, try not to fall asleep. Okay, but it is important, guys. Nobody should ever say, oh, I didn't know what to do, because that would not be the case here. Okay, so please bear with me. I myself am attending lectures. I have lectures in place with UNISA, and sometimes they can be very boring, but I listen through them because you can still learn a lot. Okay, so even if you're only listening with half an ear and chomping your chips and sitting in the canteen, at least you're in class. That's a good thing. Okay, so step number 1, understanding the brand. So research and report back on the audience, the mission and the vision, and the brand views. Your goal here is show us that you've done research on the brand, what it's about, who the target market is. Okay, you get no marks for this if you don't do it. You get 1 mark and fail if the audience, vision, mission, values are missing or incorrect or not justified by sources. Okay, so if you don't speak to me about those elements over there, then you get 1 mark. Okay, 2, you pass if the 2 of the audience, vision and mission or brand values are missing or incorrect or not justified by sources. 3 marks, which is your distinction. 1 of the audience, vision, and mission and brand values are missing or incorrect or not justified by sources. And full marks, 4 marks if all of the audience, vision, and mission and brand values are present and justified by sources. As I said to you guys previously, before when the screen wasn't sharing, it may be that you have all your elements in place, but if your vision, if your sources are missing, then you're going to do badly. So please, guys, make sure that you include your academic sources. Very important. Okay, next. Step 2. Okay, step 2, analysis of previous integrated media campaign done by your brand. Here you need to say what the brand did and why it was successful. Your goal is to show that you understand what goes into a successful integrated media campaign and what that looks like. This mark out of 4 will be multiplied by 2 to count out of 8 for weighting purposes. Okay, so guys, you can see you get no marks if you don't do it. You get 1 mark, which gets multiplied by 2, so you get 2 marks for this if the analysis is done, but the campaign is not an example of an integrated campaign, or it is an example of an integrated campaign, but 3 or more of the 5 elements have not been addressed. So if you say, I'm going to look at the advertising, I'm not going to look at PR publicity, I'm not going to look at personal sales, I'm not going to look at sales promotion, I'm not going to look at direct marketing, then you're going to get 1. Okay, so be aware of that over there. And then what I'm saying to you, Edon, over here is include a general source here. You don't have to create a source for every single one of those elements. Put in a general source like Kotler and Armstrong. Okay, I spoke about earlier on. If you have any questions, please ask me. Okay, analysis has been attempted. You're going to get 2 marks over here, so you pass. But either 2 of the 5 elements have been left out of analysis, or the student has not indicated how the elements have worked together to support one central idea. In other words, analysis is there, but it's somewhat scattered. Remember, guys, as well, 1 voice, 1 heart, 1 mind equals consistent, clear, compelling, clear messages. Okay, consistent, clear, compelling messages. All right. Next, 3 out of 4 marks, or 6 out of 8, because we're going to double it. Analysis has shown how the campaign in question integrated advertising, PR, personal sales, direct marketing, and sales promotion to the elements of the marketing communications mix as part of one central idea. The student has touched on how the campaign used 4 out of the 5 elements and shows an understanding of, put down because I can't see, okay, the mechanics of a successful integrated media campaign. And then for 4 or 8 marks, because we're going to double it, analysis shows how the campaign in question has integrated the 5 elements of the mix. And the student has touched on how the campaign has used all the elements and shows an understanding of the mechanics of a successful integrated media campaign. Okay, so that is that over there. Now, the most important elements are 4 and 5, but let's have a look at 3. Element number 3, note on the challenges facing the brand in 2023. You can see your goal is to briefly note a challenge faced by your chosen brand in 2023. So this is, for example, in the case of Julius Malema, if you're doing a personal brand, the whole controversy around Kill the Boer which a lot of people are saying is, you know, hate speech and it's leading to farm murders. So how would Julius Malema manage that perception going into 2024 into elections? Now, he might say, I don't want to, because I want to attract the people who feel that that is a freedom of speech and I should not be told that I can't sing that song because that is not what I stand for. So in that case, then he will attract the kind of voters. Maybe it's part of his strategy. I don't think Julius Malema does anything that isn't part of a strategy. So yes, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's all specifically designed to maximize hype and publicity and cause newspaper headlines. My sister used to work for a political party, and she and I had a chat last week, and she said the quickest way to kill somebody's political ambitions is to not fuel the fire, to starve them of oxygen so that they don't make, that it doesn't catch on fire in the media, which is a very, very, very good point. Okay, so guys, you can see if you don't do this, you get 0 points. Challenge facing the brand for 1 point has been noted but not justified with a source or the source is outdated. Okay, and the challenge in question is no longer relevant. Okay, then for a pass, Chris has got here not applicable and not applicable. So what this boils down to is that you've done what needs to be done. Okay, if you look at question number 4, sorry, point number 4 with your full marks, a challenge facing the brand has been noted and it has been justified with a source. Okay, so it would be the same for 2 and 3, but maybe the source is not as robust, or maybe you haven't discussed it enough, or maybe it's not believable. And there again as well, guys, like I said to you, because it's not maths, remember, these are the perceptions based on my interpretation of your study, of your assignment. And the reason why is because this is how all academia works. They make the assumption that I am qualified to know what is a good assignment and what is not a good assignment. And that's how most stuff is done, guys. If you go for your driving test, okay, the guy who is taking the driving test, theoretically speaking, unless you bribed him, okay, is supposed to be able to assess, and it's a personal opinion, your ability to be able to drive. And it's based on a set of criteria that it's interpreting. So again, you might say, well, Rob, is it really fair? Let's not go down that road, because the honest to goodness truth is that this is how we evaluate all human achievement. Okay, when Beyonce wins her next Grammy and makes number 33, that is the opinion of people who work in the industry and say, we like Beyonce's music, we think she sings wonderfully and she creates awesome music with her husband Jay-Z, therefore she deserves a Grammy. And some people say she doesn't deserve one, it's not fair, and whatever. Like that time when Kanye West attacked Taylor Swift at the VMAs, what it was, and said this Grammy should have gone to, or this VMA should have gone to Beyonce, not you. And she's like, okay, well, that's not what the judges think. Okay, and then of course, Barack Obama called him a jackass. Okay, so guys, I've digressed too much. It is what people would call waffle. So forgive me for waffling for a minute. The point that I'm trying to make is that do a small slide on the steps that you need to take to discuss the challenge of your brand in 2023. Okay, now here is the big money. This is very important. This is where most of your work's going to come in for your campaign. Okay, step number 4, outline your idea for the new campaign by stating its objective, central idea, campaign name, and campaign values. Your goal, to show that you have a clear, cohesive idea for your campaign and that you are able to make decisions for it that all line up with each other. Okay, so let me repeat that. Show that you have a clear, cohesive idea for your campaign and that you are able to make decisions for it that all line up with each other. Okay, so 0 marks if you don't do it. 1 mark, which is a fail, if there's no evident cohesion in the objective, the central idea, the campaign name, and the campaign values. These all read as irrelevant to each other. So the campaign has no cohesion, guys. It's not one voice, one heart, one mind. Okay, pass. There is cohesion to the idea, but of the campaign objectives, the central idea, the campaign name, the campaign values do not fit. For example, the campaign objective and values align with each other, but the name and the values do not fit. 3 marks, which is your distinction, and remember it's going to be doubled up. There's clear cohesion to the idea, but none of the campaign objectives, central idea, campaign name, or campaign values do not fit with the rest. one of the campaign objectives, central ideas, etc. Does not fit with the rest. For example, the objective, central idea, and campaign values all line up, but the campaign name does not fit. Okay, and then finally, full marks. The objective, central idea, campaign name, and campaign values all line up with each other, and there's clear cohesion to the idea. Okay, so guys, this is very important. Step number 4. Step number 5, very important. So focus a lot on these over here. Wow us with your creative ideas. Come up with brilliant ideas and absolutely blow us away. Number 5, be specific about the execution of your campaign by providing your ideas for the advertising, PR publicity, personal sales, direct marketing, and sales promotion. In other words, your plan for advertising. Okay, so guys, each of these over here goes through the 5 elements. So I'm not going to go through all of them. I'll just do the first one for you. Then we can take a break, and then we can get on to some other work. Okay, so you can see this one over here specifically focuses on advertising. I'm highlighting it for you here. Okay, so this is advertising. And down here, you'll see this one is PR and publicity. Whoops, there we go, I did highlight it. Then you'll see over here, this one is personal sales. Personal sales, you can see over there. Here's your direct marketing. And then your sales promotion. Okay, guys, you can see your referencing then. Referencing, make sure your goal, your in-text citations and references follow the Harvard referencing and other methods. Sorry. Let me repeat that. Referencing, your goal, make sure your in-text citations and reference list follow the Harvard referencing method conventions. Okay, so you get 0 marks, that's not done. There's no reference list included and no in-text citations. 1 mark, which is still a fail if there is included, but some are missing or there are errors. Not applicable for 3 and 4 because it's similar, just to a greater extent. And then number 4, so that's 2 and 3. Reference list and in-text citations are included and there are no errors. Okay, then you get good marks. So let's now go back to these elements again. I just wanted to finish that because it was at the bottom of the page. Let's go back and have a look now over here at specifically step 5. So this, guys, applies to all of them. But in this step over here, we are focusing on advertising. Okay, so guys, you can see over there, your goal is to suggest decisions for the advertising of your campaign that are aligned to the campaign central idea, objective, and values stipulated in step 4. The skill here is about aligning your decisions to the aspects of the campaign outlined in step 4. Okay, so guys, that is for advertising. You do the same thing for publicity and PR. You do the same thing for personal sales. You do the same thing for sales promotions, and you do the same thing for direct marketing. Okay, so 0 marks if it's not done. 1 mark, which is a fail. Remember, you're doubling up on these because you have to double it for the weightings. Okay, the suggestion for this element does not support the campaign objective, and it's misaligned to the central idea and the campaign values as outlined in step 4. So remember, your step 4, your campaign values, what you want to achieve with your campaign, needs to speak to your step 5. Okay, are there any questions so far? Are you guys all still here? Are you all with me? Are you all still with me? Are there any questions? Are you all still good? Please feel free to stick up your hand and see if anybody's responded on the group. Nobody on the group. Okay, that I can see. Okay, cool. All right, so guys, a pass, but it's not quite done. The suggestions for this element support the campaign objective and are aligned to the central idea and campaign values, but the student has not shown an awareness of this alignment and academic sources have not been used as part of this discussion, or they are, but they are incidental, i.e. they have not been integrated as a meaningful supporting part are the suggestions being put forward. Okay, so make sure that your step 5 speaks to your step 4. Remember, I'm available if you need to speak to me, if you have any questions. If you want to send me your assignment ahead of time to have a look at it and I'll give you feedback, you're welcome to do that. Okay, full marks, sorry, not full marks, 3 out of 4, so your distinction. The suggestions for the advertising support the campaign directive, objective, my apologies, and are aligned to the central idea and campaign values, and the student has shown an awareness of this alignment, but the academic sources have not been used as part of the discussion, or they are, but they are incidental, i.e. they have not been integrated as a meaningful supporting part of the campaign. Suggestions put forward for the campaign. Okay, and then full marks. Suggestions for the advertising support the campaign objective and are aligned to the central idea and the campaign values, and the student has shown an awareness of this alignment, and academic sources have been used and integrated as part of the discussion. Phew. Okay, so it's very labor intensive, guys. I was like, oh gosh, Rob, please, it's too much. I understand. Just take it back to basics. Just give me, what is the brand that you love? Give me the background. Okay, what have they done in the past that's been successful? Give me an integrated campaign that speaks to the 5 elements of the mix. Discuss that with me and go through that. Then tell me what is something that they are struggling with in 2023 that's an issue. Based on that, create for me an overview idea proposal for a new campaign, and then go through the elements of the mix of that campaign with me and discuss them with me and tell me this is what you think they should do. Okay, so again, overview, very, very, very quick. Very, very quick. Okay, so let's have a look at an example. And let's take something fresh from the list, something that we haven't discussed a lot of before. Let's have a look at an alcohol brand. Let's have a look at Amarula. Okay, so what is one of the issues with Amarula? I'm going to start from the beginning. And then we're going to take a break. Okay, so forget about the script for now. Let's just focus on it. What is Amarula? Amarula is a South African drink. It is a, I think it's a liqueur. I mean, I'm not really, I actually have a bottle of Amarula in my cupboard here. I got it for my birthday. But anyway, so I think it's a liqueur, if I'm not mistaken. It's nice and creamy, sort of like Cape Velvet meets Eine kleine Nachtmusik. So it's sweet and it's delicious and it's tasty and it's very nice. What are the values? I'm not sure who owns Amarula. I think it might be part of the Rembrandt Group or the Richemont Group. I'm not 100% sure. So I would need to go and research this over here. It's based on the Amarula fruit, the marula tree, the fruit that the elephants like to eat and get drunk. Okay, they get fraught on the fruit. So obviously what it does is as the berry, the fruit ferments, it creates an alcohol, and this alcohol can then be, it makes a very nice drink, something that you can drink. And of course, they've mixed it with cream, so that it's got this lovely, it's like a Cape Velvet, but it's a South African version of Cape Velvet, like a Bailey's Irish cream, but it's South African. Very popular. I have a friend, I belong to an investment group, and we meet once a month. And this chappie, who's the head of the investment group, very wealthy. He travels all over the world, and he always says, whenever I go into airports, there's always Amarula. Everywhere there's Amarula. Always Amarula. The thing is always Amarula. Everywhere. Goes to London, to New York, to wherever. There's always Amarula for sale in the duty free at the thingy. So it's very well known all around the world, guys, as like this exotic sort of African drink. Okay, so now you've told me a little bit about the history of the brand. So I don't know the values and the mission, etc. So, but you need to go research that and tell me. Okay, so I can tell you off the top of my head. Obviously, the idea at the end of the day is to sell as much Amarula as possible, because that's how people make money. If you buy the alcohol, then that's how they make money. So, and of course, you can see they use the elephant on the logo. They're promoting like an African look and feel, like this is drinking Africa. It's part of an exotic, African vibe. Think of yourself in the Kruger Park and have a sip of Amarula. Oh, it's going to be delicious. Okay, so that's sort of like the brand feel, and the values of the brand would be Africa, Africa-centric, something exotic, something unique, maybe even a little bit of focus on preserving wildlife, looking after elephants, the Ndlovu is Ndlovu, how they care for us and they are our friends, and how they make Africa so uniquely African. Okay, so that is your background. Then you're going to be going through a campaign. I have no idea what Amarula has done before, but let's say they had done a campaign where they had focused on, there was an elephant on the TV, and they said, the trusted old elephant, one of man's oldest friends from the wild. So not like a dog or a cat, but like an old friend from the wild. And you see the elephant reaching up to grab an Amarula, fruit. And then, of course, the whole thing transforms into an Amarula bottle. And then they're like, oh, there we go, Amarula, a taste of Africa, something along those lines. Okay, so you say that's the advertising. Okay, the PR and publicity. So Amarula, the company that has the PR campaign, has been trying to stop the culling of elephants, let's say, as an example. And they've said, let's now see if we can help people or elephants not be culled for their ivory. So they run a campaign to create awareness around elephant culling, and they promote this. And they say, Amarula supports this over here, and we're going to donate R1 million to wildlife preservation and to anti-poaching of elephants. And they run a publicity campaign around that. So you can see that's your PR, your publicity, your corporate social investment, which is the second element. Then let's say Amarula, as I've told you now before, so in terms of sales promotions and personal sales, all you would say there is Amarula is available at every single international airport in the world in duty-free. So they don't necessarily do personal sales, but they make the products available at point of sale, so it's easy to procure. Okay, and then their representatives will sell the alcohol to the store, to the retailers, not directly. They won't stand there and do, necessarily sell it per person. Then let's say, for example, this is something, you traveled through duty free in London Heathrow, and there was a salesperson standing there, or a promotions lady standing there and saying, hi, would you like to buy a bottle of Amarula today? If you buy one, you get one free. That's an example of a sales promotion. Let's say that that's what they did. And then direct marketing, they said as well at that time, sir, if you buy one and get one free, would you like to enter a competition? You can win an all expenses paid trip to the Kruger National Park. Yes, I'd like to sign up. Okay, please can I have your name and your cell phone number or your email address, and we'll contact you. That's a direct marketing angle. So let's say that was all done. Now you've analyzed that and you said this is how it was done really, really well. Now let's say one of the challenges, moving on to step 3, so that was step 1 and step 2. Step 3, one of the challenges that Amarula has in 2023 is syntaxes. Okay, people, booze is not something that you need. It's not bread or pop or rice or whatever it is. You don't need alcohol. It's a luxury. Okay, and therefore government taxes it extra so they can get their taxes in. So people are seeing, because they can't afford it, people are seeing a decrease in the number of sales because of the sin taxes and people can't afford it anymore. There's especially been a drop off in sales in countries where there's been an increase in cost of living. For example, a lot of Africa, some parts of Europe. The United States seems to be bouncing back. China seems to be bouncing back a little bit. So let's say Africa and Europe is where the biggest issue is. Okay, so that is the issue. People can't afford Amarula, sales have gone down. Now you're going to put together a campaign where you're going to say, okay, let me put together a new campaign for Amarula. And you're going to say, rekindle your roots. Let's call it rekindle. So you're going to say, okay, the campaign is, we make the assumption that man evolved from Africa. So if you look at the Cradle of Humankind, if you look at, Mrs. Pless and that kind of thing, there are some theorists that say that Africa was the cradle of humankind. Africa is where humans were born. So let's create a campaign around that and tell people to rekindle your roots, get in touch with your roots, get in touch with your former self, before you were obviously now reborn, reincarnated. Those would be some of your brand values, but get in touch with your former self, okay, and rekindle your African roots. Okay, go back to a simpler time, an easier time, a time with less stress, a time with, and that is, so you've now discussed those elements of your campaign. Okay, now you put that together, and now what you're going to do, so you've gone through that and you've discussed your values, etc. So that's very important, step number 4. Step number 5, now you're going to tell me how you're going to put together a 5-step campaign for the elements of the marketing communications mix for Amarula around this. Rekindle your roots, rekindle your African roots, rekindle your roots. Yes, with Amarula. Okay, so rekindle your African roots. Okay, so we start with an advert. Okay, and I say we're going to do an advert on, we're going to put a YouTube advert on, we're going to do TV adverts. This is the media we're going to use for TV. We're going to do something on SABC. We're going to put it on all the airport displays. It's not going to be a narrated advert or music. It's just going to be played on an airport display with writing at the bottom. Rekindle your African roots, Amarula. Okay, so there's your advertising strategy. Go through all the bits and pieces. PR and publicity. Well, what we're now going to do is we're going to say, in addition to educating people about the importance and value of having elephants, we're also going to create a scholarship program where we're going to allow 10 people per year to study veterinary science. So we want to encourage people in Africa to study veterinary science, to promote and protect the environment and the wildlife. So what we're going to do is we're going to offer 10 scholarships, and then you're going to create a publicity campaign around that. You're saying, rekindle your African roots, come on, be a sport, support, wildlife in Africa, and become involved. If you buy a bottle of Amarula, for every Amarula that you buy, bottle of Amarula that you buy, we'll donate 5 Rand to a charity that will help young children to study veterinary science, to help protect and preserve elephant life. So now what you've done is you've coupled to your PR campaign a sales promotion, because you're saying, if you buy a bottle of Amarula, we're going to donate some of that money to charity. So there is your sales promotion. Also linked to that is your personal sales. Why? Because you're going to put a point of sale materials, which is advertising, at the tills in your international airport departures lounges all over the world, in your duty-free shops, your duty-free booth shops, and say, support African wildlife and African education today. Rekindle your African roots, buy an Amarula, and donate to charity. So there you're trying to promote your personal sales. You can also have a sales assistant standing there saying, hi, sir, hi, ma'am, welcome. Where are you traveling to? Oh, I see you're traveling to Johannesburg, or you're traveling to wherever. Would you like to support this over here? You can buy a bottle of this delicious drink. And what you do is when you buy a bottle of this over here, you'll be donating 5 Rand to preserving animal wildlife in Africa. And you'll also be helping to, previously disadvantaged African children to have access to education in terms of becoming veterinary scientists. Wonderful. Let me buy a bottle of things. So there is your personal sales and your sales promotion together. And then your direct marketing again. Ma'am, sir, would you like to be added to our database? Or you create a YouTube campaign around it, or a Facebook campaign around it, and people say, at Amarula, love your new campaign, thank you so much for what you're doing. And then you respond and say, at Joe Blogs, thank you so much, and there's your direct marketing campaign. Okay, so guys, that's what you're going to be doing. I hope this all helps. I hope you're not bored to tears. I hope that you've that it's given you, brought some things to life for you, and you can see how you're going to apply it to your brand. So I hope your brand is working overtime, and you're thinking about what you can do to really, really good work for your own brand. All right, let's take a 20-minute break. You guys can go to the bathroom, grab some snacks, have a snooze, have a cigarette, etc., etc. And are you guys happy to meet back here at 3:05, or do you want to make it 3 o'clock? What do you guys say? Lindiwe, Michelle, Onlena, Notando, Tsekofatso, what do you guys want to do?
3 o'clock is fine.
3 o'clock. Wonderful. Okay, cool. Thanks, guys. I'll see you back here in 15 minutes at 3 o'clock. Thanks. Enjoy your break. Hey guys, okay, so my system crashed during the break. I hope you can all hear me now. We're still recording, it looks like it, I hope. And I hope you guys are all still here. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, cool. Okay, so now we've done the discussion of the goodie. Michelle, I think you left a message for me. Having quickly check it. Sorry. A sec. No, it doesn't look like it. Let me just see over here. I don't know if you left me a message. Okay. Okay, it doesn't seem like it. Michelle, if you did send me a message, sorry, it might just be a notification on the chat group. But if you did, please let me know. Okay. Excuse me. Let's get back to the lecture. Oh, let's get back to the lecture. Can you all still hear me?
Yes.
Cool, thank you. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, so guys, let's now go on with the stuff. I think the recording is still happening. Let me just check that. I'm going to share screen with you now. Let me just check that I've dotted my I's and crossed my T's. Okay, the recording is still on. We have load shedding at 4 o'clock, but I will switch over to my mobile and use it as a tethering device. Okay, so just want to let you guys know. Let me share. Guys, I just wanted to, I know some of you were here earlier. I just want to make another quick announcement and a little advert. Okay, as you guys may be aware, okay, your fellow PR students, third years, are doing a campaign tomorrow. Okay, so it's, please support them with raffle tickets. I did make an announcement. Please support them by raffle ticket for 10 Rand. Please go join in the fun activities that are happening on campus tomorrow from 12 to 4. These are some of the prizes you can win. Excuse me. 1,000 Rand voucher from Ned. 1,000 Rand skincare hamper. Movie tickets. Wellness hampers. Tacos vouchers. Music concert tickets, etc. Some very cool stuff. A piece of jewelry. It's fantastic. They've done a really good job. Your fellow PR students. Okay, and then this is the overview of what's happening tomorrow. And I got a nice DJ tomorrow as well. This is what's happening tomorrow on campus. If you're interested. Okay, so I've got hopscotch, Xbox, PlayStation, skipping, umgusha, izingyebo, coloring in, amatin, cup pong, and hula hoop. 20 Rand entrance. You can find information at the student information center, or it's obviously all happening outside the canteen. So please support your fellow students, and then remember as well, just to let you know that okay, you can buy raffle tickets. I'm assuming it's going to be for a good cause for the Smile Foundation, and the PR students are doing it part of their campaign. So please support them. Please support your campus. Okay, you can see they've got some stuff happening there, and I did go through this earlier with the class. There's a QR code you can scan, and then this over here is the raffle competition. So please, guys, support your fellow students and join them and see if you can support them and help them tomorrow. I'm going to contact Karika myself and ask her how we can do. Obviously, I'm not in Joburg, but how we can do a donation into a bank account or something like that, for the students. Okay, so my computer says I have no online storage left. Okay, I think this is going to become a problem. Guys, give me a second, please. Let me quickly, I'm going to stop sharing. Let me quickly just dump my clear my cache and just dump some stuff so that I don't have a problem, because this is not a very big hard drive on this computer. It's quite small. It's my little mini one. That is my mini laptop. So please just give me a second. I'll be with you in a minute. Let me quickly just dump the. But we were continuing with the work that we discussed last week. Okay, absolutely nothing is happening. Let's see over here. All right, and what we're going to do today is we're going to go through elements of Kung, where Kung is discussing creativity and also then innovation, and how creativity and innovation work together, and how they're also they are opposite sides of the same coin, and in some cases they are believed to not be the same. They think that they're quite different. I'm not sure that I agree with every opinion that's been voiced there, but I'll go through them with you and we can discuss it together as a class. Let me just clear my cache, see if this will help my hard drive slightly. Okay, let's see. Okay, hopefully I don't have any problems now. Okay, right, so I'm going to share with you again, and we're going to continue with the stuff that we discussed last week. And then we are going to, oh, crumbs, that's not good. Okay, so I have a missing file. Let's find that quickly. Sorry, hang on for me, technical issues. This is how it goes. Can we see? Okay, apologies for the delay. I think we're back up and running. Right, so guys, what we're busy working through, let me just share my screen again for you guys, so you guys are with me and you know what's happening. Okay, so what we're having a look at is creative organizational context. Please forgive me. In some cases over here, as I mentioned to you last week, my computer is still set to American spelling. I change it to S and then it changes it back to Z. But please, guys, use British spelling, not American spelling. It should be organization with an S, not with a Z. So my apologies. You know, sometimes it does without me realizing it, and then I'm like, oops, that's a mistake. So just please double check and set your thingy to. You should set your spell checker to British, UK, or South African, because obviously we use the British spelling conventions. Okay, so guys, you will see over here, we're going through the criteria that we started with last week. They can be identified to define creativity in a product or service. Now, this is very theoretical, and it doesn't seem to flow all that well in terms of how do you rejig it to actual case studies, to actual examples. So what we're going to do is for next week's class, we're actually going to look at some case studies. We're going to look at HBO and Pixar as examples. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to contextualize this information today somewhat for you guys based on some of the examples that you're going to need to do for your assignment. Okay, so what I need to actually do is just reopen up the rubric from today, or the brief from today, so I can run through this with you, and then I'm going to do the two bits and pieces together. So I'm hoping that this will not interfere with the screen sharing. Let me just see over here. Okay, so sharing both of these screens, I think. Okay, great. That's cool. What's this? Oh, it is here. Oh, it was here the whole time. Okay, my bad. Okay, so guys, let's see over here then. Oh, crumbs. What's happening? No. Cancel. Don't need to do. Oh, because I had made changes. That's why. Okay. Sorry, technical issues. Technical issues. A moment, please. One moment, please. Don't need that. No. Don't need this either. Okay. Let's try this all again. Okay. So if you have a look, what we were discussing last week is, so what are the elements of the criteria that can be identified to define creativity in a product or service? Now, you might be asking yourself, why is this relevant? Why is King discussed all these things over here? There is a perception, and it's not untrue, that creativity and innovation are what drive new developments in terms of products and services. So let's take this back 20,000 years to ancestors. Okay, in 2000, before some of you guys were born, I think quite a few of you, okay, but maybe not all of you guys, okay. A survey was done where they determined, because it was the turn of the millennium and we'd had 2,000 years since the Common Era began, or Anno Domini, since the birth of Christ, and obviously the Christian era, which we now call the Common Era because it's more PC and more technically correct, etc., etc., etc. They did a survey and said, okay, as we head into the 21st century and come out of the 20th century, what has defined humanity? What has made human beings who they are? What has helped human progression? Okay, and they did a survey and they determined that they asked a whole bunch of people what 3 inventions or discoveries have most defined humanity and changed humanity and helped humanity to grow and progress. Okay, so you will find the survey very interesting. The number one thing that they said helped to change the way humans live and survive and thrive, etc., etc., number one is the toilet. You might say, oh, Rob, that sounds so weird. So they did the survey and they said, okay, when we started using flushing systems and toilets as opposed to, you know, using a potty and throwing it out the window, which caused diseases like the Black Death and the plague and that kind of thing, because it's very unhealthy. When we started having reticulation and sewage systems and we started separating those things, that's when we started to flourish and grow and expand, and cities became bigger, and so on and so on and so forth. Okay. The second most important invention after the toilet that was ever discovered or that was ever invented was the computer, because the computer has changed the way we communicate with each other, changed the way we do business, changed the way we do assignments, changed the way we even live. You can watch TV on a computer, and let's all intents and purposes call a cell phone a very small computer. Okay, so it has changed the way we live. And then the third invention was fire. It wasn't an invention, it was a discovery. So they said when man learned to be able to harness fire, he could cook his own food. And when I say man, I mean humanity, not just man, but also women, okay, and non-binary and gender fluid and so on and so forth. Okay, so humanity was able to cook their own food, cook food, so it wouldn't be raw anymore, so you would be able to get rid of diseases, and fend off animals, so we were able to survive. Okay, so if you have a look at this situation over here, you might say, going back to then, how did the ability to harness fire, the discovery of fire, help human beings to progress and survive? That is at its most basal, instinctual level. And think about it, even today, guys, look at the recent fires in Maui that destroyed Lahaina and those other bits and pieces of Maui. And we have these huge fires in Greece and in Europe and in parts of North America, Canada, and so on and so forth, and the huge destruction, and we're all still terrified of fire. So if you have a product or service that is involved in somehow harnessing fire, think about how that has changed the world and how much money people have made from the ability to harness fire. Now, you might say, well, Rob, money is not the be all and end of the world. That is true. but we all need to have a living, to make a living in order to sustain ourselves, in order to eat, in order to pay the bond, in order to pay the bills, in order to come to class, and so on and so forth. So think about, I mean, the huge debates now around what's happening with Russia and Ukraine as an example. What does liquid natural gas do? It creates heat. How? Because you set it on fire and it creates heat that way, and that's how you get warm. So it's energy. Okay, what does petrol do? Petrol that goes into a car, petroleum products, oil, etc., etc. What happens? You stick it into a car, you inject the oil into the engine, you ignite the oil with a spark plug, it explodes in the engine, drives the piston, makes the car. So much of what we do today is still based around energy. And as a matter of fact, it's also destroying the planet. That's why we have this carbon emission issue and greenhouse gases and climate change and so on and so forth. But so much revolves around fire. So much revolves around computer, thinking about those things. And whole industries have sprung up around, you know, the number one invention that people said, you know, has changed the way we live as human beings back in 2000, they did the survey, is the toilet. Okay, so when we look at how to create a product or service that is going to be used by people, for people, because most of the time, if you look at it, we either create products for people or we create products that people need for things that they care about. So for example, animals, okay? Your cat is not going to walk into Pick n Pay and buy a can of cat food or a bag of dog food, your dog. We have to go buy those things and then feed our animals. Okay, so much of what we do is based on helping other human beings, and that's how we make money. So if you look at the basic element of economics, when you provide a product or service or idea to a person or persons, they see value in that product or service, and they then give you something of value, money, in exchange for procuring that product or service or idea. Okay, and so now that's what we will be discussing, and we're contextualizing this in terms of media companies, and then also in terms of the brands that you're going to be doing for your assignment. Okay, so what King is saying, and others, okay, is that there are these criteria that can be used to define creativity in a product or service. Okay, and there are 4 criteria that can be used. The first one is a novel, appropriate heuristic response to an open-ended task. And if you remember, heuristic is like a shorthand to make things easier for you. If you go back to the definition of heuristic, okay, you can see over here a mental shortcut that allows people to solve problems and make judgments quickly and efficiently. Okay, so let's have a look at this over here. A novel, what's novel? New. Appropriate is something that works, something that's okay, and something that is a mental shortcut response to an open-ended task. So when there is no clear, straightforward path to an acceptable outcome, you need to find a path to a solution. This is one of the elements of being creative. And again, I asked the question, Rob, how is this relevant to the study of integrated media management? Guys, I take you back to the definition of marketing, which we discussed at the very beginning of this year. What is marketing? Marketing is creating a product or service or idea, excuse me, that people want or need, excuse me, and telling them that you need it. So your function is to engage the media to tell people that they want or need this product or service or idea. So we are now looking at ways for you to enhance your ability to tell people this by looking at how creativity is used in the case of companies that will have products and services or ideas, and also in the cases of media companies who will use creativity to find ways to communicate a message. Okay, now let's contextualize this some more, because this is very boring theory, but let's contextualize this some more, okay, and say this to you over here. Oops, wrong slide. Okay. No, it's actually the right slide. Sorry, my apologies. Okay, let's have a look. Let's take a city brand. We haven't discussed a lot of city brands here. We discussed the alcohol brand early on. A city brand. Okay. So a novel, appropriate heuristic response to an open-ended task. What is the function of a city? So what function does Cape Town serve, or New York, or Shanghai, or London? What function does the city serve if you were going to do this as your brand? It brings people together for shared services and the ability to access a market that allows people, when they clump together, because remember, humans are sociable. So we always have people living together in a village or living together. People, very rarely do people go out and go live on their own in the sticks somewhere completely alone with nobody else around them, because human beings are social. They want to be around other human beings. Maybe not all human beings, maybe not all of the time, but that's what we find. We find that there is these this need to come together. So cities are a response to market forces where you bring people together. They can share resources, they can share power, they can share water, they can share roads, they can share housing. They come together, and you have these services that come together: a shopping center, a tall building, an airport, a highway, whatever it is. Okay, and they come together. So when a city does this really, really well, they find novel and appropriate ways to bring people together in a comfortable environment. You have a very successful city. Okay, so a New York or a London does this very, very well. You'll find the most jobs in New York and London. You'll find a lot of people in New York, and they're very, very international. You'll find New York has 3 major airports. London has 6 major airports. Heathrow being the most important. In New York, it's JFK. They are well connected with bridges and tunnels. So people want to go and live in these cities because they're relatively safe, they're relatively clean, they have job opportunities, they have opportunities for entertainment, they have opportunities for tourism, they have opportunities for you to go and hang out with friends and eat out, etc., etc., etc. So you can say, what is a successful city versus a non-successful city? And remember, we're contextualizing it now in terms of your assignment. So if you are doing a city brand, you would need to be able to explain to me how you can be creative around marketing and promoting a city using media. Okay, and also that you need to understand how the city has been creative and how you can be creative in terms of harnessing that city's creativity to promote that city. So let's have a look at another example. What is the most redeeming feature of Cape Town? I know you guys all in Joburg, love Joburg. Okay, what is the most redeeming feature of Cape Town? Probably the mountain, the wine farms around it, the chilled, relaxed lifestyle, the fact that the crime rate is lower than Joburg, the fact that it's got the sea, and all these beautiful places. So how do you now create an integrated media campaign around all of those things and put it together? If you have a look at Cape Town's logo, for example, in the past, they used the mountain as the logo. I remember when they did the 2004 bid for the Olympic Games, they had a runner running across a banner, and the banner was shaped in the form of the outline of Table Mountain. The runner, it was very, very cleverly done. Okay, so you guys, you can see it's an appropriate response to an open-ended task. What you want to do is you want to, and you can see over here the second point, originality is important, but commercial media products blend familiar and novel, new, original, unusual elements, and finding the best combination is a highly subjective process that depends on high levels of sector expertise. So what you will find is that Cape Town will find unique things about itself to promote itself as a city, and the company that you are using, or the company that you're involved in, that is using media to promote those elements of Cape Town, can in and of itself also use creativity to promote Cape Town as a city. So it's almost like it's like a meta promotion kind of thing. Okay, let's have a look at or like a meta creativity. Let's have a look at the next element. Okay, so what is, okay, resonance with public or commercial success. So again, and we discussed this last week. I'm just going over these things again very quickly, and then we're going to move on to the next stuff. So in order for a product or service to be creative, to be regarded as being creative and being effective and successful, it needs to resonate with the public and have commercial success. So you can say, is Cape Town a successful city? Is Cape Town creative? Well, it was chosen as the design capital of the world back in 2014. But yes, it is, guys. People like going there. It's probably South Africa's most popular city in terms of tourism. They call it the mother city. They call it, and it's known as one of the most beautiful cities in the world. So that kind of thing, how do you harness that image and use that image to help promote the city of Cape Town? Why do you want to promote the city of Cape Town? Because it's good for income. When tourists come into the city and they spend money in the restaurants, spend money in the shopping centers, those restaurants and shopping centers all pay money towards the city, and the city will then use that money to bolster their coffers, pay themselves, yes, and there is corruption even in Cape Town, okay, and they will use it to improve the city. So that's the way it is done. If you have a look, there is an initiative down in Cape Town called Westgrow, where they've partnered with Cape Town International Airport, and they've actually contacted airlines that are flying into South Africa and said, listen, can we convince you to come fly to Cape Town instead of flying to Joburg? Can you fly to Cape Town first before we go to Joburg, or can you fly to Cape Town directly? And they've actually managed to get this thing. So, for example, Emirates, you fly directly from Dubai to Cape Town. So if you have somebody who lives in London who wants to go to Cape Town, they can fly via Dubai straight to Cape Town. They don't have to go via Joburg. Turkish Airlines flies directly to Cape Town. Qatar, I think, flies to Cape Town and doesn't fly via Joburg. United Airlines now flies from Cape Town to Washington, or is it to Newark? Okay, so these are all initiatives that are basically saying, listen, don't stop over in Joburg. Come to Cape Town. Come spend your money in Cape Town, because Cape Town is the better city. It's the prettiest city. It's a more beautiful city. It's more tourist orientated. And they've been very successful. Joburg is very successful in terms of business. Now, here is the interesting fact. Did you know that actually the #1 tourist destination in South Africa in terms of international overnight stays is not Cape Town? It's actually Joburg. More people fly into Johannesburg to do business in the city and to conduct business over there than fly into Cape Town for tourist stuff, because Johannesburg has a bigger global economy. It has a bigger global footprint. It is what's known as an alpha city, whereas Cape Town is a beta city. Okay, well connected to the global the markets and to global economic systems. But even so, guys, if you are trying to, if your brand was Cape Town and you had to promote Cape Town versus Joburg, how would you use the fact that it resonates with the public and is commercially successful to create elements of a campaign that are creative around Cape Town? Okay, so again, and how would you creatively use media to try and connect people with Cape Town, that being your brand? Okay, number 3, critical acclaim. Very similar, guys, to your commercial success and resonance with public. Critical acclaim, but remember what you can have, and I always refer to the music industry here. You can have somebody, or even a movie that is loved by the critics. The critics say, oh, it's worthy of Oscars, it's worthy of Grammys, etc., 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 but the public doesn't necessarily like it. Okay, so here's a good example. The Fast and the Furious Part 10 with Vin Diesel, and back when it was Part 3 with Paul Walker, etc., etc., very popular with the crowds, very popular with people. The critics are like, ugh, it's just another, fast car movie, whoop-de-doo-da-day. So you can see it's commercially successful. It may not necessarily have critical success or critical acclaim. And then you get other types of movies. There was a movie that came out last year about the Me Too movement with women called She Said. Okay, I think it was in the cinema in South Africa for 1 week at Cinema Privé. It was not even on circuit for like a week, and it was off because it was critically successful. People loved this. It's a very good movie. It's important. Nobody went to watch it. Nobody wanted to go see what it was all about. Nobody cared. Same thing with Barbie. Okay, so Tumi is doing Barbie, as some of you guys know. Barbie is commercially very successful. Does it also get critical acclaim? Maybe in some cases, in other cases not. Okay, so now taking this again back to cities, which is the example that we were using. Okay, is Cape Town critically successful? Does it have critical acclaim? Well, yes and no. They do say that it does because it's a beautiful city and it's got the mountain and it's popular and it's very good with tourists. But they will also say it's dangerous. Some people call it Rape Town because it's got a high incidence of murder and rape and that kind of thing. Those are all negative things. So how do you manage those elements in a marketing communications mix and use the media to work around those things if you had to promote the city of Cape Town? Okay, and you can see over here in terms of this theory which we discussed last week, so I'm not going through it in all that much detail today. Okay, you can see the fourth bullet point down, 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, it's the fifth bullet point down, one's a sub bullet. Creativity is linked with experience and expertise in a certain field. So you would hire somebody who has expertise in city branding and has expertise, like you guys are becoming experts in media management. You hire somebody who has expertise in media management to promote the brand in question. Okay, so that's the third element. I hope this is making sense. If it doesn't make sense, guys, please let me know, and I will gladly discuss it with you some more. Okay, next. It fits the intended purpose and the firm context in terms of budget and time scale. Okay, so what they say here is, in order to be creative, a product must help the organization meet its strategic objectives and work within available budgets and timeframes. So you might say, well, Rob, how is this relevant, first of all, to Cape Town? And then how is it relevant to the media we're going to be using around Cape Town? Okay, so Cape Town needs to live within its budget in terms of the creation of service delivery for the residents and for the visitors to the city. They need to make sure that there are no potholes in the roads. They need to make sure all the street lights work. They need to make sure that they don't have power failures and substations that fail after load shedding is off and the power comes back. They need to make sure that the water, there's running water in Cape Town. Remember a couple of years ago, they had such an issue with water in Cape Town. They initially thought they were going to run out of water, and people were literally limited to 50 liters of water a day. That is 10 of those 5-liter water bottles. That's what people were down to. Like, we're going to run out of water. And then eventually the rains came, and then the Theewaterskloof Dam and the other dams eventually filled up, and then they didn't run out of water. But it came very close. Guys, think about the implications for a city of 5 million people running out of water. What does that look? How does that make you look on the global stage? How does it affect your brand? How does it affect your ability to attract customers? People who are living overseas and say, I'd love to go down to South Africa, I want to go on holiday, but I'm not going to go to a city where there's no water. I can't brush my teeth, I can't have a shower, I can't use the toilet, etc. So think about how difficult it must have been. Okay, so how are those things over there? You need to be able to manage these things. Now also think about how, if you're working within a budget or a time scale, okay, how are you able to still manage the city when you're having a water crisis? How are you going to get your rates and taxes in? How are you going to fix things and make it? How are you going to promote the city? Now take it to media. How are you going to use within your budget and your time frame the various media in an integrated fashion to promote your city, Cape Town? Okay, so do you have endless funds when it comes to advertising? No. How much is a TV advert going to cost you these days? Probably 5 million rand. Okay, to put the whole thing together and to buy the airtime on stations, probably more. 5 million rand is probably a complete understatement. I mean, I haven't worked in the advertising industry on advertising agency side. I worked on client side, but I only ever worked with small brands that never ever had enough money to do TV advertising or big advertising campaigns. Our advertising campaigns were mostly print media, or little small social media campaigns. There was never enough money to do TV. But think about it, guys. What is your budget? If a company, I remember, and I think I said this to you guys last week, when I walked into a job interview and they said, okay, here's brand X, you have a budget of 2 million rand. How are you going to spend it for us in this next year? I literally did exactly what we're making you guys do for this assignment. I said, okay, there are 5 elements of the marketing communications mix. Okay, my budget is 2 million rand. I'm going to spend 500,000 rand on advertising, 250,000 rand on publicity, 500,000 rand on promotions. We're not going to do any sales. We're not going to do personal sales, which is not exactly integrated. We're not going to do any personal sales. And then I'm going to spend whatever the rest is on direct marketing, so social media and so on and so forth, and then running a promotion. So what you need to do is you need to ask yourself, how much money have you got allotted when you're putting together your campaign? So this is not a requirement for the assignment. We're not going to be saying to you guys, you need to do this for the assignment. Okay, but when you go into business next year, into the company that you're going to be working for, they're going to say to you, listen, this is your budget. You only have this much money and that's it. Then it's finished. Okay. So keep that in mind, guys, and have a look at that. Okay, moving along. So that was just like a review of last week's stuff. Moving along then. Creativity is not innovation, but you need both. Now, guys, I am not sure that I completely agree with this over here. Okay, so why is creativity not innovation? Let's have a look at what the slide says, and we're going to go through it. So creativity and innovation are two related but separate notions, and each is required for workplace success. Here's the difference and how you can inspire both. Okay, so this is trying to move it down slightly. Oh, no, it didn't move down too much. Let me move this thing out the way. There we go, that's better. Okay. Okay, so creativity doesn't lead to company inventions and growth. Innovation does. However, innovation doesn't happen when without creative people on board. Okay, I am not sure that I completely agree with this over here, guys. Why does creativity not lead to company inventions? It can. I think that if you look at so I'm putting this in and I'm playing devil's advocate over here, like I do with brand loyalty. Okay. How is putting together a media campaign using a very small budget and a limited period of time not creative, and how is it not innovative? If you look at when, and I'll use it again because it's one of the elements you can look at. If you look at, so let me tell you the story and I'll contextualize it for you. When Steve Jobs started going to college, so he was adopted as a child. I don't think he ever knew who his real parents were. And his parents in America, college, what you guys are doing is extremely expensive. Okay, and his parents were basically using up all of his college intuition, all of their savings to pay for his college tuition, not intuition, sorry, college tuition. So I was paying for his university fees. And I think he was studying sort of computer science, whatever it was, I'm not sure. And he went into a calligraphy class. I'm not sure why, I can't remember. But he went into a calligraphy class where they look at different types of fonts of writing, as you guys know. So you see when you guys log onto Microsoft Word, we have Times New Roman and Calibri and Century Gothic, and these all different types of fonts. Okay, and he went and sat in this calligraphy class, and then he went to his parents and he said to his parents, look, mom, dad, the parents that I know, I am not going to spend he stayed in college for 6 months and then he dropped out. I'm not going to spend the next 3 years in college making you bankrupt financially because you want me to get a degree. Because I remember when his mother gave him up for adoption, she allowed them to adopt him with the proviso that he would one day go to college. And he said, I'm going to disappoint you, and I'm going to disappoint my birth mother by not taking this degree and finishing it. Okay, I'm going to go and be entrepreneurial. I'm going to move on. Anyway, excuse me. He says that from that calligraphy class, he put together the different type fonts, the fonts that you have, that was originally only available on the Apple Macintosh. Okay, Microsoft then also stole the idea and decided to include it and incorporate it in what we see today on Microsoft. Okay, now that's according to Steve Jobs. There may be some folklore attached to that, etc., but there's probably also some truth attached to it. But guys, can you see? We wouldn't have different typefaces, type fonts on Word and in word processing machines if it wasn't for Steve Jobs accidentally walking into a calligraphy class and saying, oh, we should have different fonts when we put together this word processing documentation. So that is very, very creative. It's also completely innovative. there are many ways where creativity and what is the word I'm looking for? Sorry, I just want to check this with somebody else looking, sending messages on the group, but there's nobody, so everything's fine. Okay. There are many ways that creativity and innovation can come together and work hand in hand. I am not sure that you can separate them. I think it's very possible to innovate and be creative at the same time. What I would also say to you guys is, and this is also very interesting, some people have this perception that they are not creative. And let me say this to you. If you've ever lied, and every single human being has lied, you are creative because you've fabricated a story out of something that's not true. That's being creative. So I'm not condoning lying necessarily, but all human beings lie. Okay, that is being creative. So every single human being has the ability to be creative. Every single human being has the ability to be innovative. Right, let's have a look at the next slide. Practitioners tend to use these terms interchangeably. So let's have a look at this over here. Creativity versus innovation. Creativity, research into creativity is based on psychology, whereas innovation stems from the fields of engineering and tech. And these view creativity as a subset of an even broader construct of organizational change. Again, my apologies, should be an S, not a Z. So bad when it changed and I didn't check it. Okay, so don't be like me. Please check your work before you submit it. Guys, again as well. I'm not trying to say that I don't like your textbook. I think Kuhn is excellent, but I'm not saying that I necessarily agree with these things. Think very carefully about saying that creativity and innovativeness are separate. They are separate, but they're also linked. And I don't think that you necessarily need to be creative to be innovative, and I don't think you necessarily need to be innovative to be creative, but I think that they help each other. I think they work together, and as you can see, practitioners use the terms interchangeably. Creativity focuses on the initial inspiration, the bright idea, and the innovation from this perspective is a successful implementation of creative ideas in the shape of processes, products, or services. Whereas innovation, they say, is a broader concept. It concerns the processes by which products are manufactured, the organizational structures and strategies that support this process, and the relationship between innovation and corporate performance. So the commercialization of something new. So innovation is more like a commercialization. That's taking it out of the headspace and actually putting it together into a product or service that you can then sell to other people. Okay, so Drucker describes it as a specific instrument of entrepreneurship. That's innovation. Again, as well, I'm not 100% sure that I agree with all these definitions. We're going through them because it's part of your theory. I don't necessarily say that I am. So I would say to you, in the same way that I've told you guys to question brand loyalty, I would say that you also need to question the concept and the idea of whether creativity and innovation are opposite sides of the same coin or two completely different concepts. All right, so where does creativity come from? The core components of creativity. And guys, you might say, how is this relevant to my assignment? You can include some of it. Let this fuel your imagination when you've got to come up with your new strategy for your presentation. Okay, so the first stage in any new product or service or program depends on someone having a good idea, which is the creative spark. All right, so that's important. So how do people have these creative sparks? Anything can trigger it off. Some people have triggered it off in creative environments where they can bounce ideas from other people, like a brainstorming session. Some people, I once did a course with a guy based in the United States. Actually, I've done quite a few courses with him, and he always says, allow yourself to be creative. Just allow yourself, give yourself the freedom to be creative, and then your brain will make the connections anyway. All people are creative. There is nobody, accountants can be creative. Okay, so, and then being able to deliver that idea further, that is what it boils down to in terms of the creative spark. The likelihood of having the additional idea and the development thereof are strongly influenced by the social environment within organizations. So what King and others are saying is that if you have a look at very innovative, very productive, very effective companies like an Apple, like a Google, like a Microsoft, like a Tesla, like some of your social media, like a Facebook, etc., all of those things came about because the environments in which those people work are conducive to creating cutting edge technology and cutting edge things that puts them way ahead of other industries, other people, other places, other countries. So why is it that so much innovation and creativity and technology and stuff that makes humanity progress and move forward comes from countries like the United States and Japan, to a lesser extent, other parts of the world, maybe China, sort of Taiwan. Taiwan has the market. But let's look at two really good examples, both in the transport industry. What caused the Wright brothers in 1903, just 120 years ago now, what caused them to say, can we create a heavier than air object, in other words, an aeroplane, that we can lift up into the air using the same principles that we learn from birds? If you have a look at the properties of aeronautics and lift, okay, the way that the wing of the bird is shaped, and it's all based, guys, so much of what we got, so much of what we do as human beings is based on observation. Submarines mimic fish, cars mimic legs, tall buildings mimic trees, airplanes mimic birds. We got so many ideas from just observing the environment in which we live. Okay, so that's the first thing. So why is it that the Americans were the first to come up with flight? Were they? And there's a story, the ancient Greek story of Icarus, who burnt his wings trying to reach too close to the sun, and it was Leonardo da Vinci who came up with the idea for the helicopter. So these were ideas that were, but why is it that the Americans were the first to use an atomic bomb? Because they took the best minds from Europe and the best minds from other parts of the world, put them together in Los Alamos in New Mexico, and said, right, develop this nuclear weapon that can now be used to, destroy big cities with one bomb, which is actually quite terrifying. But think about the incredible, it was billions back in the 1940s. It's how expensive the project was to be able to. And the thing is, if you look at the movie Oppenheimer, which I haven't seen yet, but I just know bits and pieces of it, Oppenheimer was driven, according to this movie, by the fear that Germany was going to possess the bomb first. Now, if Germany had the bomb first, they would have the ability to win the war. So that creativity was driven by fear and by necessity. Okay, and then the innovation that sprung from there. But let's have a look at the car. Okay, so it's generally believed, although there were some people doing the same time, that Benz, Mr. Benz, they've been named benzene after, etc., that Mr. Benz was one of the first people, and Daimler, okay, so Daimler-Benz they were the first guys to invent a car, the internal combustion engine that then drove the car. So that was German and then an American invention. There's a little of Europe involved. But why is it that those countries are always at the forefront of innovation and technological development and etc.? And what the theory is purporting to say, and this is very dry and technical, unfortunately, but it needs to be discussed. What the theory is purporting to say is that the organizations that allow people to flourish in those environments are the reason why those organizations are so successful. Again, I'm not 100% sure that I necessarily agree with that. There are lots and lots of people who flourish in their own environments. I mean, look at Newton. Newton wasn't in an organization that was promoting theories of, gravity and friction and so on and so forth. He worked on his own. Einstein wasn't necessarily, he worked, to my knowledge, sometimes in conjunction with other things. But think of like a university where you guys are. Okay, it's a laboratory for an incubator for ideas. And that's why some of the greatest minds in the world come out of those environments, but not always. Look at Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs never finished his degree. Neither did Bill Gates. Neither did Mark Zuckerberg. Larry Page and Sergey Brin, who founded Google, both went to Stanford. They got MSc degrees, master's degrees from Stanford. They both dropped out of the PhD program. They didn't get their PhDs. Okay. Elon Musk has got a master's degree as well in physics, I think, and engineering. Also dropped out of his PhD, so he never finished. And he said, I'd rather hire some guy. MBAs are a dime a dozen. Forget about the person with a degree. I want somebody who can do the job. That was what was more important to him. So sure, you can work in an environment, in an organization that stimulates your creativity, but I don't think you necessarily have to. So again, I'm questioning the theory, as you should too. Okay, you might say, well, Rob, isn't this a bit boring? It probably is, but we still need to cover it because it's a course requirement. Okay, so moving along. Okay, so guys, creativity, relevant skills. The best way to have a good idea is to have lots of ideas. This is Linus Pauling who said this. Okay, so these refer to the ability to think creatively and generate different alternatives. Alternatives are necessary because individuals who have access to a variety of potentially relevant ideas are more likely to make the connections that can lead to creativity. Okay, so I like that over there, lots and lots and lots of ideas is the way to be creative and to come up with ideas. And also, I will admit this, have an environment where there is nothing is a sacred cow, nothing is holy, whatever it is. You can throw all the ideas out on the table, all the ideas are welcomed, and all the ideas may be universally panned together. They may be criticized together, and you shouldn't take it personally. If somebody says, I don't like that idea, it's a terrible idea. Like this client that's now said to me, I don't like the way you write. Please can you make it more formal and less, like you're writing for TikTok or YouTube? Okay, that's client's wish. So I'm responding to client's needs. That's what you do. Okay, but think about that. Let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so creativity relevant skills include cognitive style, so the ability to understand complexities, to break the cognitive set during problem solving, to keep options open as long as possible, to suspend judgment, to use wide categories allowing relationships to be found between apparently diverse pieces of information, to remember accurately, and to break out of performance scripts. And then creativity heuristics. Remember, heuristics is like a shortcut, a short thing that you can use. So ways of approaching the problem that can lead to set-breaking and novel ideas. They can be highly idiosyncratic, which is unusual, but they should allow the explorations of new cognitive pathways. So a heuristic, again, is a mental shortcut that allows people to solve problems and make judgments quickly and efficiently. These rule of thumb strategies shorten decision-making time and allow people to function without constantly stopping to think about their next course of action. Now, guys, again as well, unless you're going to be including some of this information in your assignment, which you can do, and you will get rewarded for in terms of marks because it's theory, you're not going to get tested on this because you're not writing an exam. Okay, so this is just information to help you contextualize where creativity comes from, how it's related to innovativeness, where creativity will take you, and how companies are able to come up with ideas that will allow them to gain a share of market, whether those are media companies, again, which is what you're studying, media, or other companies that will use the media to share their innovations and their ideas with the world. All right, so working style is also important. Creative teams need to combine a range of rather pragmatic abilities to concentrate for long periods, to abandon unproductive searches or temporarily give up on stubborn problems, persistence, high energy levels, high levels of productivity, self-discipline, and ability to delay gratification, perseverance in the face of frustration, willingness to take risks, and a high level of self-initiated, task-oriented striving for excellence. Now, personally, again, I don't know a single human being like this. I don't know if you guys do, okay? Constantly long periods, that doesn't happen to me. I have these short bursts and then I need to take a break. Okay, so I don't know about you guys. It just really doesn't work for me. Okay, abandon unproductive searches or temporarily give up on stubborn problems. To abandon unproductive searches. Yeah, okay. Sometimes when you're going onto Google looking for stuff, it becomes very unproductive. I remember when I did my master's, gosh, half the time I was searching for stuff that I didn't even end up using. It was such a frustrating thing. It's frustration. It's working through frustration. It's the ability to persist. I would say that's what's important for creativity more than anything else. Okay. Then to temporarily give up on stubborn problems, you can walk away from a problem and come back to it. Okay, but persistence, yes, that's important. High energy levels. Gosh, lots and lots and lots of people who've been very successful do not have high energy levels. I know a friend of mine who's got a PhD long time ago, did a second master's, had myalgic encephalomyelitis, yuppie flu. She could barely get out of bed some mornings, and she whizzed through her stuff. She worked very hard. It's very difficult, but she managed to get a PhD. It certainly wasn't because she had high energy levels. Her energy levels were low. They were terribly low. So high levels of productivity. Guys, some days you're not productive. That's why when you tackle your assignment, just taking it out of the headspace and putting, making it pragmatic for you guys in terms of what I'm going to say now. Some days you're going to pick up your assignment and it's going to be a mess. You're going to say, oh, this is such a disaster. It's such a mess. I'm doing it all wrong. It's a complete failure. It's such a snafu. And that's fine, because so high levels of some days it's not productive. Some days you have good days, some days you have bad days. That's life. Self-discipline. Well, some people, I don't always have self-discipline. I'm sure you guys don't have either. And not everybody has consistently high self-discipline. I think the most important thing with creativity is persistence. That is the most, and everything else. Okay, so the ability to delay gratification, yes, to some extent. Okay, but you can't, you're also not a robot, you're not an automaton. You need to take a break. You need to connect with your family. You need to go for a walk on the beach. You need to go for a walk in the park. You need to have something to eat. You need to sleep. You can't just continue working. So it's all fine and well to put this down in a textbook into a working style, but this is not the reality of most human beings, in my opinion. Perseverance in the face of frustration, yes. Willingness to take risks, sometimes, not always. High levels of self-initiated, task-oriented striving for excellence. No. We're not always self-initiated. We're not always task-orientated. We don't always strive for excellence. Some people are not task-orientated. Some people, if you look at, you get action people, you get people, you get emotional people, whatever. Some people are not like this. I mean, it's all fine. This is all very, very, very technical. It's all very theoretical. I don't necessarily think that this is the way, this is the best way to promote creativity in an organization. Some of it is true, some of the time. I think you need to find what works for you. And if you have a look at this list over here, you might say, oh my gosh, I'm such a failure because I don't do any of these things. None of this applies to me. This is all awful. I have none of the stuff over here. It's all disaster. Guys, you can't think like that. You can't say, well, it's, yeah, you can't. So find your own style. I think that's an important consideration. Okay, next. All right, so expertise. Let me just see if there's anybody sending me messages. No. Okay, cool, so we can focus. Expertise represents a combination of knowledge of the existing facts and issues concerning a specific area, combined with experience necessary to be able to find feasible solutions to problems in that field. Okay,